Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. Landon Schmidt producing. We're Sports Time. We're with you for the next 3 hours on this Tuesday afternoon. Hope everyone had a great Memorial Day and Memorial Day weekend. Spend some time with family and remember those who served for this country. I hope a lot of people were able to take a moment yesterday and remember those. Obviously, the reason for the holiday. But hope everyone had a great weekend. A lot to get to this afternoon. We've got Tiger basketball news, including P.J. Haggerty. He has a new landing spot. Greg Sankey, he spoke a lot yesterday before the SEC spring meetings. We'll talk about that. College baseball, the tournament is set, so plenty to get to over these next 3 hours. Can't forget the NBA playoffs as well as the conference finals are. They're a lot of fun right now in both the East and the West. But before we get to any of that, Brett, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well, Bryant. Doing very well.
It was a good weekend in the sports world. A lot of baseball, a lot of basketball with the playoffs. A lot to watch, but the big news, at least in the city of Memphis, came yesterday around lunchtime. I was at lunch with a buddy of mine, and the news from Jonathan Givony comes out, and it was really the old two birds with one stone. You get both of not only is P.J. Haggerty going to take his name out of the NBA draft and return to college, but he also has a landing spot, and he is going to go to Kansas State. That news coming out yesterday, and we all kind of assumed that Kansas State was going to be the landing spot for P.J. Haggerty over the last about week or so. That news had kind of started circulating, but now official, he will be a Wildcat.
Yeah, it's official, and he is no longer a Tiger, and I will give it to Greg Gaston. It was both his reporting and his reporting knowledge, gut, feel about it. He told us early the ship had sailed. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, it kind of the first hours after he had entered into the portal. It was no Willie, won't Greg was steadfast that his days as a Tiger was over. I think a lot of us, including me, was hoping against hope that maybe after testing the waters and seeing that he had it pretty good here, that he would return. I don't think it was ever close to that. In the reporting that I'm hearing, it was not strictly, in the end, a money issue, that at one time he had a better offer from the Tigers than he eventually accepted from Kansas State. Is that how you understand it, Brian?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird situation because I do think whether it was him or people around him, I do think money was a big factor. I mean, I don't think you go into the transfer portal and say, I want $4 million. I want to play specifically point guard if money isn't the only thing.
And nobody was close to that.
No. I think NC State would have probably been the closest, but obviously they went out last week. We talked about it. They grabbed Darian Williams from the transfer portal, a guy that also tested the NBA draft before taking his name out and committing to NC State. But, I mean, it sounds like P.J. Haggerty along the way, we've talked to Jason Munns about it. He's written about it a lot. Parth has written about it as well. We've talked to Greg Gaston about it, where, P.J. Haggerty, it sounds like, from him at least, it wasn't all about the money. And then ultimately we find out, at least what's being reported, about $2.5 million is what it seems like he will get from Kansas State.
Well, that's significant. I don't know what he made last year. I've heard a lot of different numbers, but I don't think it was up to $1 million, was it?
No. Yeah, it was not. I think it was just a little under that.
A little under that. So this is significantly more, but not anywhere close to the asking. Look, and he's a good example of, you can go out and shoot a big number out there to people.
Sure.
It doesn't mean people are going to do it. It only takes one to say yes. Alex Rodriguez once upon a time was going to settle for a paltry $15 million maybe in Atlanta, maybe some other places. And Tom Hicks came off the top rope with $25 million. Well, that was pretty simple where A-Rod landed.
That's right, yeah.
And it blew up the Major League Baseball salaries since then. And since then, Tom Hicks has filed for bankruptcy.
Wow.
And the wake he left in Major League Baseball. Thank you very much, Tom Hicks. You really did.
Yeah.
You really did the sport a good one. With that, you double the price of doing business for everybody, and then you're out. But he's really not out because he's still living in a gated community in Dallas. But anyway, P.J. Haggerty. So if it's not about the money, what was it about?
Oh, that's a great question. I really don't know. I mean, I think you can make the argument of maybe playing in a bigger conference and better competition, and you certainly can't argue that with going to the Big 12 and playing for Kansas State. So I really don't know, and I'm hoping that we get some sort of something about kind of the behind the scenes of his transfer portal process, because I would like to know what went into it, what was kind of deciding factors, because let's not forget, I do think if P.J. Haggerty had entered the transfer portal on day one or early in the process, he probably would have gotten somewhere in the 3 million neighborhood when everyone is just open rosters, we just need somebody. But he waited till one of the last days the portal was open to enter, so now he's behind the 8 ball. He declares for the draft. He says he's focusing only on the draft, and ultimately gets $2.5 million. So I really don't know. It just feels like there were some things maybe botched in this in this situation with him entering the transfer portal.
It does sound like that, and he kind of overplayed his hand, and at the end the market dried up because at the end everybody goes out there and they lock down what they have to have. So 2 years in a row now, the best player from the year before, last year David Jones, this year P.J. Haggerty, and the sentiment at season's end. Let's go back fresh to last year and the Tigers being eliminated on that Friday afternoon by Wichita State at the AAC tournament,
Brad,
and David Jones.
I don't want to remember that day at all. That was a bad day.
That's just for historical
That's right.
purposes. So we go back to that day, and the general theme among anybody loosely affiliated with the media, print, radio, TV, podcast, web, blog, everything, was that David Jones was going to give Penny some type of pass. That if it's anything close, the scales would be tipped to Penny. Am I portraying that properly, Brian?
That's very accurate, yes.
Okay. Same thing this year. And we were even hearing this year that, he might get 2.1 from Texas, but if Memphis can get in the ballpark for the upper levels of the 1 point something, 7, 8, it's got to be close, that Penny would kind of get that pass.
Yeah.
2 years in a row, that has swung and missed.
Yeah.
2 years in a row, those players, and David Jones did it going professional, but got less.
Sure.
And it sounded like P.J. Haggerty now is going to get less than an offer that was pulled from Memphis. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I believe that is correct. I saw this earlier. Parthy Pajai, who will be with the morning show tomorrow morning, and he'll probably have more information about this. He had a story yesterday. He also tweeted this. I had to go back and make sure. This is the quote from his story over at the Daily Memphian yesterday. Memphis' initial offer to Haggerty was around $3 million prior to his entry into the portal. A source familiar with the situation told the Daily Memphian. The Tigers were unwilling to increase their offer to meet Haggerty's $4 million ask and eventually rescinded that offer altogether, the source added. So it sounds like since that initial $3 million that was taken back, whether it was we just added more guys to the roster, we have to have that money, we can't be waiting on you, whatever the situation was, it sounds like that $3 million offer from Memphis was not on the table when he made the decision to go to Kansas State.
In that scenario you just laid out, that we got to go on and do our business, and the money got taken up by other people. That very well that could happen. That's plausible. That's very realistic. But how many times are you going to let the conference player of the year, the runaway conference player of the year, the unanimous, hands down? Was the vote unanimous? Let me correct that before I go any further.
It was. If it wasn't unanimous, it was pretty close. Pretty
close to
I don't remember that far back, but yeah.
Runaway player of the year, you're not going to be able to make room for him?
Well, I mean, I'm with you. I completely agree with that. But also,
everybody just put their logical thinking cap on.
True, but also, let's say you do wait and you have this money, and PJ Haggerty says, you know what, this is going to be more money, but I want to play in a bigger conference. I want to play in the Big 12, and I want to whatever. I'm going to go Kansas State, and now you're just kind of sitting there, and you've missed up on other players. Like, I think at a certain time, if you're playing all these games and you're PJ Haggerty, you might have to say, we can't wait around anymore. We have to fill a roster up.
I think that is very much a probability. I think that is probably what happened. Could it possibly be this, that 2 years in a row that your runaway best player on the team, now David Jones was not Conference Player of the Year,
but he was
clearly the best player
absolutely
on down the stretch, just a pretty good team. At one point, a really good team. We all know how that played out. This year, no doubt. Could it possibly be that both of those players just came to the realization Penny ain't making it happen?
Yeah, well, it could be. Yeah, it absolutely could be. And that's
I'm going nowhere with it.
Sure, yeah, and that's kind of where I was going. I'd love the behind the scenes. I doubt we ever get it, but I'd love to be a fly on the wall and hear some of those conversations on what kind of went through PJ Haggerty's head in terms of entering the transfer portal so late, deciding to go to Kansas State for 2.5 when at one time you had a $3 million offer from Memphis. I'd love to know all these things because I think you're right. That's a possibility. How about I'm not going anywhere in this conference? You know, I can play UTSA.
This is Nowheresville.
Every single night, and nobody in the NBA, nobody anywhere is going to say, oh yeah, that performance is going to translate to the next level. If I go to Kansas State, I'm going to be playing Kansas and Houston and Texas Tech and Baylor. I'm going to be playing those teams every night instead of Rice and UTSA and Charlotte.
I'm playing a home game in front of an average crowd of 6,000.
I'm playing in a high school gym.
I go on the road and play at Rice, Texas, San Antonio, and many others in that league in front of less than 1,200.
That's right. I mean, it's just...
Now, we have had mountains of stories and mountains of talk the last 2 years down the stretch of the year of a special kinship and a bond between Penny Hardaway and David Jones, between Penny Hardaway and P.J. Haggerty, and that there was something there, and then poof, there's nothing there. Here's when we get all the story, is whenever the Penny Hardaway era is over, because we're already getting this about David Jones. Some of us said it in real time about David Jones. He was one of the most selfish players that ever played. If he didn't have the ball and get the ball up in the air, he wasn't that interested. Defense was... at best, secondary.
Yeah, that's being very nice there, Brett.
This year with P.J. Haggerty, some of us at real time, I don't know that he's less than automatic from the field. He's not that great to his left. The dribble's really high. He gets picked pretty easy. We were shouted down as a hater.
Oh yeah. I mean, no doubt.
Now he's gone, and we've gotten it about David Jones. We're going to get it about P.J. Haggerty. And one of these days, when the end of the Penny Hardaway era is done and the real story is written, then a lot of the truth seekers standing up to the powerful, seeking the truth, then we will finally get that he had no kinship at all with them.
Sure, that's right. Well, and that, I feel like there's a lot of places like that where when they're on the team and they're there and it's, oh man, everything is great and everything's dandy, and then they leave and then it's going, well, what happened? I thought there was something there, and
it's not just endemic here. Getting it a little bit now with the truth telling at Arkansas about Boogie Flan.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot of places. Sure. It happens a lot more now with the very fractious volatility of rosters with player movement.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a business, and a lot comes with that when it is a business, and so yeah, who knows if we'll know the true story about PJ Haggerty. But now over at Kansas State, and I think a lot of questions with Kansas State. They are not a surefire NCAA tournament team next year.
It's a coach on one of the hottest seats out there next year.
Yeah, no, it really is. And I like Jerome Tang a lot. I think he's a really, really good coach. Problem is they're in one of the toughest conferences in the country. And I was looking today, Bart Torvik, who is very similar to Ken Pom, projects them as number 44 in the country with the current roster, including P.J. Haggerty. That's fine, but it's 9th in the Big 12. So, I mean, it's kind of middle of nowhere.
Where does Bart Torvik have the Tigers?
The Tigers, I believe, are in the mid-70s right now, about 71, I think, with the current roster. I believe that goes up to about 50. I was looking at it earlier. That goes up to about 50 in the high 50s, I should say low 50s, if Dane Danger gets a waiver and is eligible next year. So you're kind of looking at a team somewhere in the 50s or 70s, at least according to Bart Torvik, for next year's Memphis roster, as it is right now this afternoon. Well, we've got a lot to get into this afternoon. We're going to talk a lot more about P.J. Haggerty and what this Tiger roster will now look like now that we know he is not going to be in the fold. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Matt Infield from Action News 5. He'll join us. We'll talk Tigers and P.J. Haggerty this offseason for Penny Hardaway, what next year's roster will look like. I know he did a sit-down interview with Curtis Givens the third on kind of why he chose Memphis and a little bit into that, so we'll definitely get his thoughts on that. We'll also get to some NBA with him, Grizzlies offseason and the NBA Conference Finals. We'll do all of that in our next segment with Matt Infield. 3:45, the college baseball tournament bracket was set over the weekend. A really good weekend for the Ole Miss Rebels. Again, you can listen to all of their games right here on Sports 56. They made it all the way to the SEC Conference Championship game, lost to Vanderbilt, but now they'll be hosting a regional this weekend. So that will be a ton of fun. We'll talk more about that at 3:45. 4 o'clock, Brent Beard from First Coast News in Jacksonville. He'll join us, talk college football. Plenty to get to with him. We had the change for this year's college football playoff to straight seeding. Also, Greg Sankey had a lot to say. A lot of SEC coaches speaking today as the SEC spring meetings get started. 4:30, we'll talk the NBA Conference Finals. OKC, they went up 3-1 with a win last night over Minnesota. And tonight, Game 4 between Indiana and the Knicks. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Beau Marchant will join us to talk the NFL, and we'll have to congratulate him and talk to him about his big day of running last week. Big number 10,000. We'll get to that at 5 o'clock with Beau Marchant. 5:30, we'll talk about what's trending, and then at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. It's pool time, and Family Leisure is already booking pool installs for 2025. Buy now and get on the list for your pool installation. 2024 pools starting at $19.99 installed, with liners starting at $299, and right now all pool accessories up to 20% off. 5 to 6 person hot tubs starting at $69.99, and swim spas and cold plunge tubs now $2,000 off. Don't forget about patio furniture. Select sets now up to 50% off, and if you mention this ad, get free installation only at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
He's Brian. I'm Brett. We're Sports Time and with you till 6 o'clock, and we want you to be a part of our show by texting or calling 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. All our guests will appear on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. Landon Schmidt, our producer. We're always in our Family Leisure Studios, and this hour brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2025 models and special leasing options always. Driving luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Give them a call at 901-334-9673. But they invite you by the only Lexus dealership in Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway, where you can put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the safe luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day has got to be the news that came out yesterday. Jonathan Givony releasing it all in one tweet, the old two birds with one stone type of tweet from our man Givony. This was the tweet. News: AAC Player of the Year and consensus All-American PJ Haggerty has withdrawn from the NBA draft and committed to Kansas State. We kind of got wind of Kansas State being the team to look out for with PJ Haggerty last week. A lot of credit to Hitman Hoops, who put that information out on Twitter, especially after Darian Williams took his name out of the draft, the former Texas Tech star player, and he committed to NC State. It looked like maybe NC State out of the game for PJ Haggerty. I mentioned it earlier, just very weird how this all played out there. I do think that if PJ Haggerty had entered his name in the transfer portal, if this was going to be what happened from the very beginning, that he was going to leave and go somewhere else, if he had done that early in the process, I do think he would have gotten more than the reported $2.5 million and probably would have been at a different school that is not Kansas State. But we kind of saw it felt like a lot of places dried up. Not many people looking to add a point guard, especially that was demanding that much money, as put out there right when he entered the transfer portal. $4 million is what he wanted, and it looked like nobody really wanted to pay that. We know that there were some schools that were reported to be interested in him early that really weren't interested at all in him. Last week, when it became Kansas State, there was a report that said Auburn might be interested if Tahad Pettiford didn't take his name out of the draft and return to Auburn. That was very quickly turned down by an Auburn beat writer that said, my sources are telling me they have not even thought about PJ Haggerty and would not be looking to add him. So it really felt like not many options out there for PJ Haggerty. The report by Parthu Pajai from the Daily Memphian says that $3 million offer that was out there to PJ Haggerty to keep him from entering the portal, I think that was a key part of that quote. Was around $3 million prior to his entry to the portal. So hey, look, we'll give you $3 million. Don't enter the portal. Once that game started, it sounds like they rescinded that offer and kind of left him for Kansas State. What does that mean for Kansas State? Well, they get a guy that was an All-American in the American. Can he put up those same numbers? Can he do those same things in the Big 12? We'll see. I think it's very easy to say you're going to be our primary point guard on May 26th when he commits. A lot can change when November basketball rolls around. Like you mentioned, Brett, we all saw it, whether we want to admit it or not. PJ Haggerty is not a point guard, and I do not believe he will be the starting point guard for Kansas State.
They are born. November. You don't make one.
That's exactly right. They can throw him out there and say, you're going to be our ball handler, you're going to be this. He will not be the quote-unquote point guard on the court for Kansas State. If he is, well then Kansas State, I don't know what that means for their season. But now for the Tigers, we know they're out on PJ Haggerty, certainly waiting for the decision from Dane Danger. We know still a couple of roster spots open. We'll see what they do with those, as we're definitely getting a better idea of what Penny Hardaway's roster will look like for the 2025 season.
My top story, Oklahoma City. They moved one game shy of its second NBA Finals appearance since they've been located in Oklahoma City with a narrow win in the Twin Cities last night. Minnesota, they have fought in this series. Like Denver, just not enough. And unlike Memphis, not gutless. Indiana at home, they can get it to 3-1 tonight against the Knicks. Fortunate for the Knicks to be at 2-1. It really should be 3-0, but the Knicks fought back. 3-1 would about do it in that series, and we're getting ever so closer to the Heartland Finals of Indiana against Oklahoma City.
You know what? I didn't even really think about that geographically, but...
You ride a bus.
Ooh, you really can. And you ride that bus. Not going to be much to see out the windows.
Ain't nobody in the NBA riding a bus.
And those big wigs up in New York, they're not going to like an Indiana and OKC NBA final. But I do think it would be a fun series for sure.
Not top story of the day.
Well, that's where I'm at with my not top story of the day. Who knew that the Knicks were only comfortable in games where they trailed by 20? Just crazy what they have done when trailing by 20 points this playoffs. I saw this nugget last night. There have been 6 teams that have come back from 20 or more point deficits just in this NBA Finals. I think the number I saw that in the last 5 years, the prior 5 years before that, it had only happened 4 or 5 times, so it's incredible. And the Knicks have had 3 of those 6. The other 2 of the other 3 came from the team they're playing right now in the Indiana Pacers. The other one, I had to search for this. I couldn't remember this, but we all remember the game. It was that game where Ja Morant went down with the injury. Thunder trailed by 29 points. They storm all the way back and win that game. So 6 20 or more point comebacks in the NBA, and we saw the Knicks do that over the weekend to make this series 2-1. We've been talking about it before the series even started. This is the series where do not turn your TV off. Do not change the channel, even if it is a 20-point game and it looks like we're on our way to a blowout, because anything can happen, and both these teams have shown that they're able to come back and make this a game. The other series, like you mentioned, it's been fun. Minnesota has put up a really nice fight. I mean, last night was an incredible matchup between those two teams, but the Thunder continue to show how strong of a team they are with those young players that are making such an impact. Last night, SGA, Jalen Williams, what they were able to do, and then you get the kind of third to the party, Chet, with 21 points. A really nice night for him. It looks like that series will be over soon, and they'll be waiting to see who can outmatch the other in Pacers and Knicks.
My not top story are the SEC meetings going on right now in Destin and Greg Sankey. I think he needs to stop bluffing and start acting. He's been talking for years about going from 8 to 9 games. They're talking about secured spots in the playoffs. Let me be clear. I'm very opposed to it.
Yep.
I don't want sliding for anybody.
Yep.
I want 16 at larges, or 14 at larges, or 12 at larges, or 4 at larges, or 2 at larges, whatever postseason in college football. I want it to be at larges. I want it to be meritorious, not slotting.
Yep.
And if a year falls where the SEC should get 10, they get 10. I don't want 1 if they're not deserving of it. But they're also going to debate calendar. Along with the Big Ten, the SEC and the Big Ten, they are now running the sport of college football. If it were the Electoral College, and we know in the Electoral College you need 270 to win. It's out of 538 Electoral College votes. SEC and Big Ten states represent 370 Electoral College votes.
Man.
Now, we know somebody's not going to win California and Texas.
That's right.
But that's the population we're talking about. That's running the country is what we're talking about in a college sports footprint. And finally, Sankey has a working partner from the Big Ten, unlike that dolt with the Bears now, Kevin Warren. He's got Tony Petitti standing with him. Here's what they need to do. They got to flex their muscles because they've been waiting, trying to drag everybody along. Even had the commissioner of the Big Sky over the weekend kind of want to pick at the SEC. Are you kidding me? Sit down and shut up, Big Sky. And the SEC and the Big Ten needs to quit worrying about dragging along UTEP and Rice and college basketball and let the strong survive. Darwinism is at play.
Who would have thought the Big Sky would make an appearance over the weekend?
Kidding me?
The Big Sky. How are things going over there in the Big Sky? I think I can name a couple teams in the Big Sky. I don't know if I can go top to bottom in the Big Sky. I can in the SEC and the Big Ten. I don't know if I can do that in the Big Sky. So, yeah, I think they need to stay over there in their corner. But I'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we return, we're going to talk a lot of things. Tigers, NBA, Grizzlies, PJ Haggerty. We'll do all of that next with Matt Infield.
Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes some special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
Welcome to Fat Larry's in Bartlett. Come in today for award-winning barbecue and so much more. Catfish, steak burgers, chicken, certified prime Angus beef steaks, along with all the sides, homemade rolls, delicious desserts, beer, and service that is out of this world. Fat Larry's cooks everything made to order just for you. Dine in or order online at fatlarrys.com. We're the best barbecue, southern cooking, and friendly atmosphere in town. Family owned and proud of it. Fat Larry's, conveniently located at 7537 Highway 70, just west of Appleton.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
This traffic brought to you by Raleigh Tire Auto Service, your local family-owned business for over 60 years.
Good afternoon. We've already had our share of accidents out here earlier in the Midtown area, trying to move a little bit better on 240 southbound and South Parkway. Some pretty good rain showers. You're going to run right into them on I-40 as you head west of Memphis, as you work your way out of Crittenden County towards Forest City there on I-40. Again, I can see some pretty good rain showers on the radar. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters. Go by and see them this week and shop local. Save a lot of money at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now to talk some Memphis hoops, Matt Infield from Action News 5 joins us now. Matt, it's good to hear from you. Thanks so much for joining us. I want to start off with Tiger basketball and the news we got yesterday. Not only did PJ Haggerty take his name out of the NBA draft, he also picked his landing spot. He will be with Jerome Tang next year at Kansas State. What did you make of that news and really this entire process with PJ Haggerty? Waited very late into the process to enter the transfer portal, was also in the draft, doing all of that stuff. Had a bunch of spots that were rumored out there that he could land, and ultimately lands at Kansas State.
Yeah, I think that, first of all, before I say this, I like PJ personally. I wish him nothing but success and hope he has a big year at Kansas State and sees his NBA draft stock rise and goes on to have a long pro career. With that said, he and whoever was advising him in this process, which it sounds like it was mainly his father, they played themselves big time. And the entire process was very poorly executed. Like you said, they jumped to the portal super late, or he jumped to the portal super late and were shooting for a huge payday that wasn't out there. And a big part of why it probably wasn't out there was because he jumped in the portal so late. So, to sum it all up, he probably should have just stayed at Memphis because apparently the Tigers had an offer on the table for $3 million for him, and reports say that Kansas State is guaranteeing him $2 million with another, I think, $500,000 in incentives. If the entire goal of PJ Haggerty and his camp was to get the biggest payday possible, they should have just jumped to the portal right away, because if that would have happened, there might have been a team out there that would have paid him $4 million. But when you jump in the portal right before it's about to close, well, a lot of those teams have already spent money on other players and therefore don't have $4 million to throw your way. And then beyond that, he goes from now a team and a program that loved him under a head coach where he had massive success, and especially if you're a guard, Penny Hardaway is going to give you a lot of freedom to play your game, and probably would have seen his stock for the pro level go up even more next year. He's leaving a good situation where he would have made $3 million for an unfamiliar one where he's making less money for a team that did not make the tournament last year, and from what I've read, is no lock, far from it, to make it this upcoming year. So, yeah, just a really kind of confusing executions process by them. Like I said, I can't blame him at all for trying to get life-changing money, but if that was the whole goal of the process, he should have just jumped to the portal right away, tried to get that money, and if it wasn't out there, he should have come back to Memphis. And then the cherry on top of it all for me is that, the one thing that maybe would have made sense is if NBA evaluators, when he was going through that process, told him, we need to see you do it in a better conference than the AAC. Well, if that was the case, he probably should have just jumped at whatever NC State was throwing at him, because I'll tell you what, if you want some eyeballs on you this year and you want to raise your profile, there are going to be a lot of people watching NC State basketball this year to see what Will Wade does in that program. More, no disrespect to Kansas State, but that would have been a place to get some eyeballs on you. So, yeah, I think that he will come to regret this down the road. Like I said, I hope he has a big year in Manhattan, but just really poorly executed all the way around, in my opinion.
Matt, thank you so much for joining us. It feels like a Tuesday at 3:30,
sure
doesn't it, Bryant?
Yeah, absolutely.
Having Matt Infield with us to talk Tigers from Action News 5.
Things feel normal.
Matt, please correct me if I'm off on this, but let's go through the names of the teams that were prominently associated, attached to PJ Haggerty from the second the game ended against Colorado State until yesterday. I heard almost immediately that Friday night the Tigers were eliminated. I was told by somebody I think would know that Texas was going to throw 2.1. That was eye-popping, that number. Then we heard Auburn. Then we heard pretty widely in the media, we heard Ole Miss. I was told by Ole Miss that it was never accurate. I'll get to why Ole Miss popped up later. Then you mentioned North Carolina State. Then it ends up being Kansas State. In the end, was he reeling, as best you can report, just to find a place to land after a Tiger offer was rescinded?
Yeah, I think so. I think it got to a point where, he went to the NBA draft combine, and he played pretty well there, and I'm sure he helped himself, but I'm sure he was also probably told by decision makers that he was either going to be a very late second-round pick or probably go undrafted. And at that point, you got to go back to school, and NC State blew a lot of money on Darian Williams from Texas Tech, so that took them out of the picture. Memphis had rescinded their offer, and that was another thing. People were talking over the weekend, well, couldn't he come back to Memphis? Let me tell you this. Obviously, at the point guard spot, they added Doug McDaniel, ironically, who has played at Kansas State before. Good, solid player, not P.J. Haggerty, but a good player. And really the nail in the coffin for any sort of P.J. Haggerty return was when they added Curtis Givens III. Because, let me tell you this, Curtis Givens III has connections to Penny Hardaway. He has known Penny since he was a kid. Obviously, his dad and Penny are good friends. Curtis is not coming here to ride the bench. Curtis is coming here to play. And I think that of anyone on that team, Penny was not going to put him in a terrible situation by getting his commitment and then saying, oh, you know what, we're going to add P.J. Haggerty, and now you're not going to play on this team anymore. So once Curtis Givens III was added, I think that was the nail in the coffin for any P.J. Haggerty return at Memphis. So, yeah, in the end, I think that P.J. basically was looking for any sort of home that would pay him a decent amount of money. I mean, if he's going to make $2 to $2.5 million next year, something to sneeze at, but much less than the $4 to $5 million that he and his father were reportedly looking for. So, yeah, I think that in the end he lost all his leverage and he lost all his options, and that's how he ended up at Kansas State.
Matt, the last 2 years, the star player off of both of those teams, David Jones off of last year, P.J. Haggerty after this season that just concluded, they both don't return when we both thought they might be giving Penny Hardaway some type of emotional symmetry discount that they might stay. Did you see anything during the course of either of those years of those players being disaffected by Coach Hardaway and his coaching style?
No, not at all. And really, I think that it's a little bit of a different situation just because David was, and clearly, he went out and executed. David was dead set on playing pro ball. I think 2 years in a row, they probably got not great advice and counseling. I think David doing it another year at Memphis could have really helped his draft stock to where he actually might have been picked, even if he was a little bit of an older prospect. And David obviously went and played pro ball this year, but he was in the G League basically the entire season. And you wonder how that could have played out with another year at Memphis. I know that PJ and Penny have a good relationship. I know that for an absolute fact. And that PJ liked playing for Penny. And, I don't think that it has anything to do with that. I think it's just the allure of, in this world of NIL, you think there's always more money out there for you until there's not, until it dries up. And then, you're kind of stuck in no man's land. And in PJ's case, it's probably going to land him in a situation that was not as good as the one he was in. The grass always appears to be greener on the other side in this world of college sports right now, but oftentimes it is a lot of under-delivering on promises that you think are out there. And I think that PJ is going to learn that hard lesson this time.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Curtis Givens III. You did a sit-down interview with him. This is a guy, a Memphian that finished his high school career at Montverde and then spent his freshman year at LSU. He'll now be one of 2 Memphians that will be sophomores on this roster, giving Penny Hardaway that opportunity to bring them in and kind of make them the foundation pieces of continuity moving forward with plenty of eligibility left. What did you learn from Curtis Givens III in your sit-down interview with him? What stood out in that conversation?
Yeah, really that, obviously when he committed to LSU out of high school and chose them over Memphis, there were a lot of people around here that were disappointed by that. And I think that behind the scenes there were some, I don't know if feathers ruffled is the right word, but I think that there were some people on the Memphis side that were a little bit surprised by that and maybe not totally pleased with how that went down. But, Curtis Givens III told me that the biggest reason he's coming to play for the Tigers this year is because of Penny Hardaway and the relationship that he has with him. And he said, the freedom and the things that he does with guards in his system is really one of the biggest, if not the biggest reason he decided to come back home. And he thinks that, when he's seen what he's done with other guards like Kendrick Davis, P.J. Haggerty last year, and he thinks that he can do some similar things, maybe not to that level, but I mean, who knows? But he thinks that Penny in his system is going to allow him to get the best out of himself. And that's the biggest reason he came back.
Matt, would you characterize those ruffled feathers of any indication with the same thing with Billy Richmond?
Not that I heard. I'm not saying that it can't be the case. I heard little things behind the scenes more so with the Givens commitment to high school than Billy Richmond. But could be. I just don't know for sure.
Mm-hmm. Matt, over in the NBA, these conference finals have been incredible. What have you made of both these series in the West with OKC and Minnesota, and then in the East with Indiana and the Knicks? Are you a Knicks fan? Do you share in that fandom?
Hard.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're one of those crazy New York fans. If you were up there, you'd be throwing garbage at Pacer fans and all that.
I'm not throwing garbage at any fans. I'm a little bit classier than that. Knicks fans are crazy, New York fans are crazy, but I don't quite fall into that boat. Let's start out West first. OKC has been the best team all year. I'm really not surprised by how this is playing out. I know that people have wondered whether they had the experience and the ability to deal with adversity because they just blew teams out all year, but they have passed every single test so far this postseason. Obviously, the Grizzlies series wasn't really a true barometer once Ja got hurt, but the way that they handled a multiple kind of gut-wrenching or tough losses against Denver in the second round told me that they're ready to make that leap. And the way that they bounced back, obviously, from getting blown out Game 3 against the Wolves to the way that they played last night, it tells me that it confirms to me that they are the best team in the West, and they should be considered the heavy favorites to win it all at this point. In the East, obviously, I have a lot of personal investment in that. Game 1 was I don't even know how to describe it. It was one of the most shocking things I've ever watched. And
Too cruel.
I was at work trying to stay focused while that was going on. And although I will say, people labeled it a Knicks choke. I really don't think they choked. I think the Pacers just went nuclear. Aaron Nesmith, in particular, turned into Klay Thompson in the final 3 minutes of that game. And then the Halliburton bounce on the buzzer beater to tie the game was wild. The Knicks could have been better, but I don't think that they flat out choked. And then game 2 was close, and game 3. I told people this team is really mentally tough, and I don't think that they're going to fold because of the way that they lost the first 2 games at home. And a lot of people buried them, but they showed it being down 20 in a really hostile road environment. And I'll credit Tibbs. Tibbs went a little bit deeper in the bench, and he played some guys that haven't gotten a lot of run, and they were impactful defensively. And then Karl-Anthony Towns, man, if we get that version of Karl-Anthony Towns the rest of the way, they're going to be tough to beat. I don't know how you get that version out of him all the time, because when he's playing like he was in the fourth quarter in Game 3, he's probably a top 3 or 4 offensive big man in the league. So,
did you think he had that in him, Matt?
Consistently, I don't know, because that's kind of been the knock on him for a long time.
I didn't. But it was like seeing a different player.
And don't get me wrong. For all the talk in the offseason about whether Julius Randle and DiVincenzo, whether I was worth Karl-Anthony Towns, to me that was never really a question. And I loved what Julius Randle did for the Knicks, but Karl-Anthony Towns is a special offensive player when he is in that mode mentally. And there are times where he is a little bit lackadaisical, and he commits silly fouls, and he just does stupid stuff. But when he's locked in like that, he is really special offensively. So I don't know how they get that out of him more often. Also need my guy Brunson's been in a little bit too much foul trouble in this series, so hopefully he can stay out of that tonight. But yeah, they win tonight in Indiana, and they've been really good on the road in these playoffs. And I mean, it is a brand new series once again. So it's lived up to the billing so far.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's already been a blast. It's going to be fun tonight to see how Game 4 plays out. Matt, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Whole lot of fun catching up with you, and we'll do it again soon.
Yep. All right. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt. Matt Infield joining us. It's been a while since we caught up with Matt, but definitely fun to get him back on today.
Sure is. Great to catch up with Matt, and he has his finger on the pulse. All right, here is my theory.
Okay.
Pure supposition.
Okay.
Some of it grounded in conversation with people on the Ole Miss end. They were never close on anything with P.J. Haggard, and there sure wasn't any $3 million offers. I don't know what it would have taken for them to get him, but it really never got that close. Here's how I think the Ole Miss got in the conversation. Remember back during the year, I think on a Monday night at the coaches show, Coach Hardaway said, we got to show P.J. Haggerty some love if he's going to be back here next year. That was basically passing the hat. Don't you think that's what that was?
No doubt
that
about
was
it.
code. That was code. We got to get the pot right.
That's right.
Well, nothing gets the pot right like the threat of somebody might be going to Ole Miss, including when Penny Hardaway's name got thrown around in the Ole Miss coaching search. I can tell you categorically, Ross Bjork it never entered his mind. He knew who Penny Hardaway was, of course, as a player. He did not even know he was interested in coaching at a college level. But Penny defenders, part of them working the coup to get Tubby out and get him in, knew that gets people moving. The idea of Penny Hardaway might go to Ole Miss. It was not even in. It was North Pole to South Pole, and I think the same thing. You get Ole Miss's name involved in P.J. Haggerty, and the money rolls in, and it sounded like it rolled in. If you had $3 million on the table,
Brett, I think you're onto something. I really do. I mean, because you're absolutely right. When it's, hey, these guys down the street, this program that you can't stand.
It's one thing to lose him to Kansas State, but can't lose him to Ole Miss.
I think you
and
are
it was
on
never
something.
close.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track with that one. It's definitely an interesting situation. But we got to get to another break. When we come back to wrap up our first hour, we're going to talk a little bit about the NCAA baseball tournament bracket. It was revealed yesterday, and the SEC, they took control when it came to teams in the bracket. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Spring is in the air, and it's the perfect time to grill, chill, and save with Choates. Install a new generator, tankless water heater, or Carrier HVAC system, and you'll get your choice of a free green egg grill or 36 months no-interest financing. Stay powered during storms. Enjoy endless hot water and slash your cooling costs this summer with a high-efficiency Carrier system, and grill some slow smoke barbecue on us. But hurry, this special ends soon. And if you're dealing with plumbing or electrical problems, Choates is here for you too. Give us a try and take $60 off your repair. Leaky faucet, clogged drain, broken outlet, lights flickering? Call Choates and save $60 on your plumbing or electrical repair service. Call 347-8086 or visit ChoatesHVAC.com today. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
Hey, Rock and Ronnie, you got a new showroom. Let's
Well, yesterday we had the college baseball selection show yesterday morning about 11 a.m. after all the conference championships got wrapped up on Sunday. Ole Miss, it was a really, really fun weekend for them. They make it all the way to the SEC championship game, ultimately lose to Vanderbilt, but did enough to host a regional, and it was a lot of SEC teams hosting regionals. Out of the 16 regional hosts, the SEC made up half of them, 8 from the SEC, including the top 4 overall seeds and 6 of the top 8. There's a graphic that they showed on ESPN yesterday of all of the regional hosts, and out of 16, 13 of them are south of Kentucky and east of, including Austin, Texas. If you just go Austin, Texas, and east, 13 of them are in that southeast corner. The other 3, Oregon, Oregon State, and UCLA. It really is remarkable, the strength of the SEC and just the talent of the baseball being played in this area.
Imagine that. All those places are where the sun shines.
Exactly.
All those places are where everybody's moving to. Back to my electoral college
That's
town.
right, yeah.
That 370 number for Big Ten SEC when we have, after the 2030 census, that could push 400.
It's crazy. It's insane. But you're right. Everyone's moving to those places.
If you thought about it in presidential politics, we're going to go from Pennsylvania not mattering more than maybe South Carolina.
Holy cow. That's crazy.
By 2030.
That's insane. That's insane. But you're right. It's a lot of people there. It's the sun shining all the time. You can get out there, 10 months out of the year and get baseball in.
Brian, I certainly enjoyed what Ole Miss did, but I also enjoyed it for this reason, just like I enjoyed how strong the Tiger basketball team was down the stretch. And it serves as a great case in point of, you can sit there and whine all you want about it. We should be hosting. We should be this seed.
Sure.
We should be that seed. Go win ball games.
That's right.
Take the decision out of the jury's hand. Don't lose at home as a 16-point favorite to Kentucky and it end in the jury's hands, and then you complain and boo-hoo about it. In baseball, Ole Miss went to Hoover and kicked the door down.
Right.
In college basketball, down the stretch of the year, the Tigers left no doubt about it and got to that 5 seed that nobody thought on Selection Sunday was going to be the case. We had already kind of conditioned ourselves and made up the excuse of that may be the reason why no second weekend. Got the 5 seed, then had the terrible injury to Tyrese Hunter, a great player, and that kind of derailed things.
Sure.
For Ole Miss baseball, this time last week, even after one win down there, that's enough. No, keep doing more and make sure.
Right.
Heck, if they had won the tournament instead of being the 8 overall, is that right? Is that what they are, 8 overall?
10th overall.
Or 10 overall. They would have worked to about 7 or 8 overall if they had beat Vanderbilt on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it was impressive. I mean, I know we talked about it last week, kind of going into the SEC tournament of, okay, where is Ole Miss right now? Are they in hosting? And they were kind of right on the bubble there if you have a bubble for hosting. And then they go out there and they just win and win and win and get to the final
ball
day.
Games.
Yeah, and that's what matters. And they did it and went out there, and you knew playing in that conference tournament, every single game out, you're going to see a great opponent. It's going to help your resume, and certainly for Ole Miss, it didn't. And they have a really fun regional with the teams that are going to be down in Oxford this weekend.
They do. I tell you a regional I like. I like the Chapel Hill regional.
Yeah.
You have North Carolina is the one. They will play Holy Cross. Well, that's North Carolina many times, but Holy Cross once in 47, a matchup of 2 former basketball national champions.
How about that?
The other side of that, we get OU in Nebraska. I'd prefer it on Friday afternoon after Thanksgiving.
Sure.
But it's not 1970 anymore.
Perfect. No, I love it. I love it. There are some really good regionals, but that one, that's an underrated one. That's a really good one.
And here's one. You talking about Super Bowls? South Carolina upstate against Clemson.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
If they win that game, they will burn their iPhones up taking pictures of the scoreboard.
Oh, yeah. it'll be awesome. It'll be great. And I mean, yeah, you look at a lot of these matchups where it is the little guy facing one of those big schools and could be a lot of fun. I mean, UTEP in the same region as Texas? I mean, they in Austin beat Texas. I mean, come on now.
You could get an old Pac-10 or Pac-12 in Oregon and Arizona. Hard to believe, no longer in a conference.
Nah, crazy.
In the Coastal Carolina, you're probably going to get Coastal Carolina against Florida.
Yeah.
Two former baseball national champions. Yes,
Yeah.
Coastal Carolina won it all in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, it is a really good bracket. That's going to be tough. I mean, for either of those teams. Coastal, who's been great at home, great season for them. Florida, who's been playing in the SEC, has been playing really well down the stretch. There's some good baseball matchups and then potential matchups that we could see over the weekend. Going to be a lot of fun. But we got to wrap up this first hour and get to another break. When we come back, we got to talk college football. Brent Beard, he joins us next.
Have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-529-2856. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 to 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-529-2856. That's 800-529-2856 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-529-2856. 800-529-2856.
The Gossett Mitsubishi Motors Spring Sales Event got thunderstruck, and the deals will shock you. All current inventory is not affected by new tariffs, so you can buy with confidence. And 2.99 for 60 months is available. 2025 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV plug-in hybrid, $349 a month, or buy for $41,115 with a combined range of 420 miles. 2025 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, we Gossett, $28,545. 25 Mitsubishi Outlander, we Gossett, $32,130 or $499 a month. Plus, you always get peace of mind with our 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So get to Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we Gossett at Gossett Motor Cars.
SCO 11871, MSRP 46,000, Cross SC 007521, MSRP 29545, Sport SU 002440, MSRP 286, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit dealer stock only.
This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Good afternoon. Trying to build just a little bit more in the Midtown area just in the last few minutes on 240 southbound at South Parkway. I know we had a wreck there earlier as traffic gets heavier already on 240 east from Mill Branch all the way over to 385 as you get on to Bill Morris Parkway. That's moving right now as you head out towards Collierville. Again, there's still some pretty good rain showers out here in certain parts of town. Dandelions, crabgrass, not a problem for Lawn Solutions here in Memphis. Call Lawn Solutions. They'll make your yard look really good this spring and summer. 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, with Dave Willotion, weekday mornings from 10 to 11. College football talk every Tuesday with Brett Beer, Heisman voter, and on Twitter X @BrettBeer. SEC, ACC, AAC, we talk it all with Brett. Here's Brett Beer with Brian and Brett.
Brent Beard joins us now from First Coast News down in Jacksonville to talk college football, and a ton to get to, a ton of quotes out there. Greg Sankey doing a lot of talking, a lot of SEC coaches talking as the SEC meetings get started this week. But before we get to any of that, I want to start with the news that came out late last week that for next season, the college football playoffs will move to straight seeding instead of the conference championship winners getting a top 4 spot. It will just be straight seeding. Those teams will get a spot in the playoffs. It just will not be top 4 protected like it was last year. What do you make of this change? Obviously, huge news for Notre Dame because now if they're good enough, they have a great season, they can get one of those top 4 spots where they would not have been able to get one of those. Yeah, sure could be. So what do you make of these changes, Brent?
It's the most logical thing they've done, frankly, in a while. I mean, you go to all that trouble to have this big drama on Tuesday nights, and they want it to be appointment television, and they come up with the top 25 for the rest of the month, and then it comes time then to to get the playoff situation everybody has wanted to do and get to, and they come up with something, I won't say different, but they just kind of almost ignore what they've done for the past previous week. So, I mean, if you go to the trouble to rank these teams and you feel good about that ranking, why not use it?
Mm-hmm. And honestly, Brent, when they do those rankings, why wouldn't they? If we have a 16-team field, why wouldn't you just stop at 16 and leave everybody else in suspended animation of knowing we got to do better?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to see a lot on 16, by the way, over the next few days and months. But it was a good move. It was unanimous, which I thought was interesting, meaning any decisions made before the playoffs this year have to be unanimous. Starting next year, those decisions have to be a simple majority. So
great point.
To get guys, and y'all understand this, to get Brett and I have looked at this for years, and in college football, to get anything unanimous is almost impossible.
You can't get unanimity to put more paper in the copying machine when it runs out.
No, absolutely not. No, that'd be some arguing about it. I agree.
It would be. That's a great point about the rest of this year because they have a lot they have to do this year, and they definitely have some vocal recalcitrance, including the commissioner of the Big Sky, who saw fit to pipe up this week. Sit down. Nobody in college sports is worried about what the Big Sky is doing. Brent, this is purely subjective. I'm going to ask him this. I may ask this more off the air of the commissioner of the SEC. I'm going to ask him this. I might ask him on the air. I'm going to ask him off there and see what his answer is, and then I might ask him on there for everybody to hear it. Sometimes in life, in leadership, the moment finds you, and you have to step up to it. He did during COVID, or we would have lost the sport.
Yes.
I find it rich with irony today. The first 2 media guests on the Paul Feinbaum show today was Pat Forty and Ralph Russo. That both of them, if they could have clicked their heels together, we wouldn't have had a 2020 college football, and it would have crushed it forever. And they've made, not entirely, their life off of college football, but they've made a lot of bones from college football, and it's been really good to them. And now they're the ones setting up their posturing about how to make it better and refashion it and to save it. Please, I have zero time for them. I see Blake Topmeyer on now, and Blake is a real advocate for it and a really good guy and a regular guest on our morning show with Greg and Eli, and I like Blake both on and off the air and his coverage. But Pat Forty and Ralph Russo out there as the paragons of carrying the college football flag made me want to throw up. To hear them talk about it, to see where we are right now in college football and the money structure. Do you think Greg Sankey really wants for it to fall into his lap to be the leader of college football, or would he rather just lead the SEC?
I think what he would rather do would be to see some kind of a majority come together and to do this thing and do it well. But I think he's prepared, and he knows that if it doesn't go as he would like it to, that if he has to, he could do that. And he could be the leader of this. But there are a couple of things you said I wanted to follow up on. One is, look, and I'm not being disparaging in some of these other conferences, but the reality of it is this has been the main crux of the issues of college football now frankly, for decades. In the upper echelon of college football, does not want the 60th ranked team in the poll, if we could go that far down, to making rules for them, and that has been a problem all along. The second thing you said, and people forget this, but there was a hue and cry and weeping and gnashing of the teeth of the national media who wanted, look, if it had been up to them, and I don't think I'm stretching this, Brett, if it would have been up to them, we would have closed college football not for 1 year, but maybe 2 or 3. So
that's the truth.
Yes.
And people need to remember for sure 2020, but remember the blowback and the criticism that Virginia Tech caught for that crowd opening the 21 season. There was still people wanting to 6 foot apart and mask on and don't go out in a big crowd. You're right, Brent. There were people out there wanting to bulldoze 2 years.
They really were. There were. I never. And if people remember, there was a little bit of this lip service about from the Big Ten presidents. Well, why don't we just we'll play in the spring, okay? Well, look, none of us knew that was never going to happen. So to be able to get, and the other thing that showed us is, without belaboring the point here, is it showed us that we come up with the schedule in short periods of time. I'm telling you, we came up with 10 conference games. Brett, was it a week or 2 weeks at the most?
2 weeks max, and it ended up being great. And I contend that Bama 10-0 is the best undefeated ever because it was all against the SEC.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So that there's still, may I say, there are lessons that we learned from that time a few years ago, and the same national crowd that is that's saying they're trying to save college football. We need to remember what happened about 5 years ago with that bunch.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely right. We're talking about kind of what the proposed formats are going forward after next year. We know the one that is starting to gain traction, the 4-4-2-2-1 and 3 at-larges. Greg Sankey also mentioned yesterday the 5 automatics and 11 at-larges has been talked about. But then he mentioned that when all of the conferences were meeting, that the ACC and Big 12 proposed a 4-4 3-4-3-3-1 format, which is 15 teams getting automatics, and I guess would just mean one at large with a 16-team bracket. So it sounds like, of course, ACC and Big 12 trying to fight for more teams, but feels like 4 from each of those two conferences and then 3 from the ACC and Big 12. That's a lot of teams getting spots that really wouldn't be getting one if we just did top 16 teams.
Yeah, agree with that. And look, I'm just not sure on any given year that maybe we can a little bit, but you over a 10-year period, I mean, how many teams from the Big 12 and the ACC, and I'm just being frank here, could give us 3 playoff teams? I don't think that'd be that many years, frankly.
No chance.
Yeah, and Brent, on the whole seeding, and I've talked about it already today. I want to go to at larges, whether it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. We get to 32. I want to go to at larges, and it falls out however it falls out. If that is the year that the ACC is the strength of college football, and they could get 8 in, then they get 8 in, and the SEC that year only gets 4 in, and the Big Ten only gets 3 in. What am I up to, 15? And then there's one other. And I have no designations for any conference. There's not an automatic for anyone, not an automatic for the 4 we had last year and Boise. None of that. No automatics. You earn it. Meritocracy. And I think I know how it would work out. I can hear people right now going, yeah, but the SEC's not, it's not the big deal anymore. It's 2 years. I got 20 before that to show that it
absolutely.
is.
Oh, yeah. Well, and look, the SEC is going to take care of itself, frankly, but no, I
everybody
agree
knows it.
No, sure they will. Yeah, yes, no question about that. So, I mean, obviously the Big Ten and the SEC are still discussing a lot of other situations too. And look, whether this is going to work or not, I'm fascinated by this. What are we going to do on championship weekend for not only just the SEC, but for some of the other conferences as far as having the play-in games? Now, I am somewhat concerned about fans can only afford so many games, and I get that. But that would, I mean, it would certainly spice it up. There's no question about that. But again, look, the powers to be, they're not concerned. This is a game for television now. That's just the reality of it. And they're not concerned about how many games fans can go to. They're concerned more about this would be great drama for TV, and that's what they're banking on.
And it's the second biggest sport in the country. It is 10 million galaxies away from the NFL. We know that, but it's ahead of everything else, and we know that. And I think there are some out there that think that college football, inspired mostly by Big Ten and SEC, and if you want to just narrow it down just to the SEC, okay, I think they think and dream and hope that it might go away. I can tell you, as long as there is a level of football between high school and the National Football League that is viable, and I'm not talking about spring leagues, I'm not talking about Canada, I'm talking about college football. As long as it's that, it's going to continue to flourish. I hear so many so irritated, especially around our age, Brent. I think we are about the only old folks out there that don't mind the current setup of college football, NIL and portal and all that. I heard so many kind of in the generation before that, I'm going to say from 2018 backwards, kind of 1995 to 2018, all I heard was we got to pay the players. We got to give them a piece of the pie. We got to give them liberation and power. Then we give them liberation and power, and a lot of people around our age don't like it.
Oh yeah. Well, what has happened is I don't think people realize that you would have freshmen getting more money than some seniors do. They are adjusting. And look, the game will survive. Does it need some tinkering? Does it need some safeguards, guardrails? Yeah. Yeah, it does. But now, I mean, I'm with you. I'm for players getting money for what they've done. I don't necessarily think they all need $10 million apiece. I don't necessarily agree with that. But
I'm going to let the market sort it out.
Well, and the good thing about it is the market has the ability to do that, and I think we're beginning to see that happen. It doesn't mean that we're not going to see more from Congress, or we're not going to see more from the commissioners or even the NCAA. But at some point, and Brett told me this decades ago, and it's true then and it's true now. The product on the field saves us in the end.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a great quote.
We got to get there though.
Wow.
Because May is a wrestle royale.
Ooh, boy,
every May. And I mean, it feels like it's going to come undone every May. And some of those stories stoked by some of the people we've already named, they're loving that seemingly banana peel that college football's on. It's not close to being on one. It's so much stronger than baseball, than college basketball, than the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
And the numbers show it. And we're getting ready to see a lot of these places like Goldman Sachs that put a value on it. You're seeing that. You're seeing these college football teams be valued more than a lot of baseball and NBA teams.
Oh yeah, and the money's staggering for what some of these schools are worth, and then you see what they put into it with recruiting and some of the numbers. But yes, the numbers are staggering. And look, we haven't even gone into the expanded playoff, play-in games, and what and how different that's going to make some of this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just news all over the place. The big news today, though, you're seeing the headlines all around. Greg Sankey said the SEC has asked for more autonomy for the Power Four conferences. But the headline was, quote, "I don't have the authority to just depart the NCAA. I've shared with the decision-making working group that I have people in my room asking, why are we still in the NCAA?" End of quote. What did you make of that statement from Greg Sankey?
Well, I mean, it's certainly an interesting statement, and I get the fact that he's getting people to, and they're asking him in the room, and you know, whether that be presidents, coaches, ads, and I'm sure there are TV people involved in this too. You better
and
believe
boosters.
they're somewhere, right? So. You know, look, it's a legitimate question, frankly. I don't think Sankey's wants to do that now, but I think Sankey's smart enough to know there may very well come a time a few years down the road where there may need to be some hard decisions made, and they would be and with the power accrued by particularly the Big Ten and the SEC, that they would be able to do that.
At 3:32 today, I got this text from a person inside the room on the 4 big takeaways so far.
Okay.
Some of these are going to make y'all laugh out loud. The kids call it LOL.
There you go.
The first thing is House settlement is close to ruling today or tomorrow. Second bullet point, 9 games only if college football playoff expansion gives the SEC automatic qualifiers. I've been clear. I'm as opposed to that as the most diehard hater of the SEC out there. Third thing, Sankey is beyond upset with media and national criticism of the automatic bid proposal. I'd have to tell him to get over that. The fourth one, Brent, please don't injure yourself laughing, okay?
Okay.
This is it. A lot of talk about the ACC and the Big 12 forming a union.
Oh, my goodness.
Are we really going to try the alliance again?
Oh, man. Throwback. But I guess the Big Ten won't be involved in this alliance. It'll just be
no. I can sure
you see what they did to the last one, didn't you?
That's right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness gracious alive.
Dr. Jim Phillips, make a bigger fool of yourself by forming a union with the Big 12.
Listen, they need to concentrate all their efforts on getting their football an improved product than worried about who they can join hands with at this point, too. So, oh, my.
Oh, man.
Goodness
and Brian, the local connection to that is, if ACC and Big 12, if they hook up, they're not expanding the pie anymore. That
Right.
blocks the Tigers.
Right.
It sure does. That's a good point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now obviously, and this is not going to happen. The ACC would open their arms if Notre Dame called them and said, "Hey, we want in."
Oh, yeah.
They're kind of in effect already aren't they?
And they are. But the reality is, and we've talked about this for years, Bryant, is if you're Notre Dame and you get to go to a playoff game and you don't have to share the money with anybody, why would you want to mess with that?
Very, very rarely do you give away something you don't have to.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And Brent, the reason why I am so steadfast against the slotting or the automatic bids, last year the SEC only got 3 in. Do y'all realize how close the SEC was to getting 3 in? Ole Miss, don't blow a game at home as a 16-point favorite. You're in. Bama, don't go to Oklahoma and play your worst game since a guy named Mike Shula was head coach. They're in. South Carolina driving down to put the game out of reach against LSU.
That's right.
LSU flips the field and they win by 3, or they're in. The SEC was that close to 6 out of 12 last year.
Yeah.
We don't need slotting. It's a bad look.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, the reality is, when you go to 16 teams, you're in a situation then where if you even got 3 losses in the SEC or the Big Ten, there's still a chance you're getting in.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, it feels like we're going to get some answers later this week, get a better idea of what the future of college football looks like. But there are a lot of questions out there, and I'm sure we will not get nearly all the answers that we want. But Brent, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll do it again next Tuesday.
Can't wait, guys. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in those conference rooms when when the 9-conference game question comes up. So does that happen tonight or does that happen tomorrow?
Got to happen one of them.
I guess so.
It does, don't it? Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
Yes, it will be.
Thanks, Brent.
And they used to just hang by the pool and bring home a big check, and that was it.
I get sunburned just looking at that beach on TV.
It's fun to look at, though. I mean, tell you, I wish I was there.
That 75 sunscreen really helps those things, right?
Yeah, if I go outside, I got to lather up like I'm baking a cake or icing a cake.
Yeah, our mothers would have laughed at all that, wouldn't they?
we made it just fine. Thank you, Brent.
Thanks, Brent.
Take care, guys.
Thank you so much. Brent Beard with us talking college football. And something's got to give, Bryant, because we're running out of time because the contracts end on everything after this year. Bowl agreements, conference agreements, the various ties, also TV, whether it goes to 12 or 14 or 16. And I'll just say this, Brian. I'm glad, and I said it during it.
Yeah.
I'll be fine whatever playoff system we have as we go in the future, 2, 4, 6, 8, whatever it is. I knew it would grow.
Oh, yeah.
But I also said you may look back and wish we had those simpler times. And those simpler times got upset by having to pay the players.
Yep.
I'm for paying the players. I do. A lot of players feel like they were used. I don't have that feeling, but I do know if these coaches can leave on a whim, the players ought to be able to have some liberation and freedom as well. I was for that. I hear so many now not as for the freedom and liberation as they once were. Who did they think was going to benefit by it? Did they really think that we're going to be able to pay the players and the SEC and the Big Ten wasn't going to get involved?
Yeah, no, yeah. That's the thing, Brett, is it was this world where everyone's going to get paid, everyone's going to be happy, but the 2 biggest conferences with the biggest schools and the biggest boosters,
we're going to set it out.
Yeah, they're just going to sit by and go, you know what, we want everyone to be on the same playing field, and we'll only pay them this much money because, hey, this little guy over here can't pay as much money. It makes no sense.
The whole idea of it being egalitarian And look, I'm for everybody having opportunity, but the equal opportunity is different than sameness.
Yeah.
SAME, sameness. You just simply in life don't have sameness.
Right.
Every neighborhood's not the same. Everybody doesn't drive the same car. Everybody doesn't go on the same vacation.
No, not at all. But yeah, we are. You're seeing a lot of people. I mean, it's a ton out there of people that wanted it, said they wanted it at least, and then now that it's here, it's whoa, wait, this is not what I wanted. This is not
downright
what I thought it would look
detestable
like.
to them.
Exactly. So it is weird how it's all playing out. But let's go ahead and get to another break. When we come back, the NBA Conference Finals, they've been a lot of fun. OKC, they took a 3-1 lead with their 2-point win last night, and then tonight we'll get Game 4 in the East between the Pacers and the Knicks. Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk all of that action. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Tito's handmade vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about everything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its community and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
So this month, we, of course, celebrate the World Championship of Barbecue.
Yes, at Tiger Lane.
And if you're on a barbecue team, we wish you the very best.
I do not like where this is going.
We wish you the very best at being second.
Oh, this is bear poking.
Because the best barbecue in Memphis is, and has been for a long time, to be found at Central Barbecue.
Barbecue contestants take this very seriously.
Central Barbecue takes barbecue more seriously than anyone.
These are not people you want to make mad.
I don't want to make them mad. I just want them to be prepared to be outdone by Central Barbecue.
And I want everyone to know that I did not write this.
And it's really not even fair.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery instead of dependable service and no long-term contracts. An easy choice. Call Jeff Menas today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call them at 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work in them by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of area jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by area just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
This traffic report is brought to you by Millington Weight Loss. For more information, call 901-436-0272.
Good afternoon again. We're still dodging a few rain showers out here in certain areas as rush hour traffic starts to build, especially in the Midtown area. I-40, it's gotten heavier over here at Chelsea as it picks up, trying to get south of Memphis on 55 down through DeSoto County. Dandelions, crabgrass, you want to get rid of all this? Make your yard look better than your neighbors? Call Lawn Solutions, 867-5626, or go online to lawnsolutionsinc.net. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. We got to talk the NBA Conference Finals. It's been a lot of fun watching all the action over the weekend. And last night, a really fun game between OKC and Minnesota, a game that became a 2-point win for Oklahoma City. But if you just looked at the box score, if you took away the final score and the box score, but you just looked at all the individual stats and team stats, you would probably think that Minnesota won that game. That's because the Timberwolves led the game in rebounds, assists, points off turnovers, fast break points, points in the paint, second chance points, free throw attempts, free throws made, field goal percentage, three-point percentage, and free throw percentage. They led in all of those categories, but still lost the game by 2 points. A lot of that had to do with the 21 turnovers that they had as a team. Just a lot of turnovers. We knew that was going to be a big emphasis in this series. If Minnesota could limit the turnovers, they'd be able to compete. If not, this was going to be a series that OKC would be able to run away with. Now you look up, heading back to Oklahoma City, and the Thunder up 3-1.
Score 126 at home and lose.
Yeah, that's insane. That is crazy, and kind of goes back to some of those defensive possessions by Minnesota just were not very good. I mean, there were 3 or 4 down the stretch late in the game. There was one where Alex Caruso somehow slips wide open under the basket. They get it down to him. He goes up. He either made the basket or got fouled. There was another one where SGA, a couple times, straight line drives to the basket. You're absolutely right. Very few times do you score in the mid-120s at home and you lose the game. But that's what we saw last night, and could have had better games from Julius Randle, from Anthony Edwards. Maybe you win that game, but you just came up short.
And one bubble that's been burst in this. Okay, Oklahoma City, they're that good, probably better than I gave them credit. But the whole invincibility of just untouchable, mere mortals can't beat them. No, the Grizzlies couldn't beat them.
That's right. Yeah. No, the Grizzlies could not do much against them at all.
The two series after that, both those teams played them pretty tough.
Sure, they've been competitive, and obviously, that's what you expect in these rounds. But you're right. This idea that they're going to run away and win all these series, either sweep or 4-1 or something like that. You're seeing a little different. And even though they're up 3-1, I mean, you look at that game last night, and Minnesota has plenty of opportunities to win. Some of those other games earlier in the season, Minnesota had opportunities to win those games, just came up short. If you could have done this, you might would have won. But yeah, this has been a really fun and entertaining series, and you saw some guys step up for Minnesota, especially off the bench. They're showing their depth. That was a big issue in, I believe it was game 1 of this series, where you have Dante DiVincenzo, you have Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Those guys did not show up. They were not shooting the ball well. Nas Reed was terrible shooting the ball in that game. All 3 of those guys were fantastic last night, combining for over 50 points in that game. I think shot about those 3 guys combined about 61% from 3. They were really clicking, but then you look at Julius Randle, who's been really good this series. He finishes with 5 points, 1 for 7 and 0 for 3 from 3. Anthony Edwards, he has 16 points, but 1 for 7 from 3. You just make 1 or 2 more baskets between those 2 guys, you probably win this game.
And Brian, can't Rudy Gobert go really small?
Oh yeah. That's another thing is Rudy Gobert in this series has not been good. There have been. I wish that I could go back to game 1 and count the amount of times where Rudy Gobert has a hand on the ball for a defensive rebound, and it either falls away, someone grabs it away from him, and it becomes an offensive rebound for OKC, and 9 times out of 10, they get a second chance point off of that because getting the offensive rebound. And, this defensive player of the year, this giant down low, just couldn't grab the rebound. Last night was a little better, 13 points, 9 rebounds. But I remember us talking about it game 1, game 2. He's, coming out of there with 4 or 5 points a game, and you're going, we need you. You are a veteran in this league. You have been on this team for a while. We got to have more production from you. And he just, hasn't been able to give them that.
Is is the West over? It will be
Yeah.
Oklahoma City,
Yeah,
just a matter of.
I think, matter of
time.
when. You're going back to OKC now. For Game 5, if you had to, you'd go back there for a Game 7. So 2 more home courts for OKC. This one feels over. I mean, you've got to be perfect now if you're the Thunder or if you're the Timberwolves.
The Knicks are alive, but boy, it was barely. I thought they were done and we're going to be down 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, how weird really both these teams are, but really how weird the Knicks are. I mean, it feels like they're only comfortable when they're trailing by 20 points. How many teams can you say
right where
that
they
about?
want 'em.
Oh, yeah, down 20 on the verge of a blowout, and Thibodeau is looking at his bench going, oh, man, this is exactly where we need to be. But, yeah, they've got a lot of fight. We were talking about it with Matt Infield earlier. That fourth quarter from Karl Anthony Towns was, you mentioned it. I didn't know if he had that in him, and
I did not.
He really stood up, and it's been kind of the joke about him is he loves himself, he loves his stat sheet, he loves getting
Loves
his
the three.
Exactly. He sure does love the three, but
Doesn't
can
like
he?
a lot of contact.
No, but can he step up when they need someone to go make plays? Can he do that? And he showed Game 3. He can definitely do that.
He did, and I did not think he had it in him. And for that game, they kind of won. They kind of won the trade.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean he was huge, and it goes back to that big trade. I mean, we'd still be talking about that trade if it wasn't for Luka and going to the Lakers. I mean, that was the biggest trade up until the Dallas and Lakers. And so I mean, I think both those teams said we've got to change things. We need to get a little better. And so bringing in Cat to New York, you'd kind of been waiting for that signature moment from him. Game 3, you got that signature moment, and now we'll see, obviously, a big opportunity for the Knicks tonight because I think, we were talking about going into Game 3 in Indiana of, oh man, you lost both your games at home. Indiana's in full control of this series. They're going to run away with it. Then in the second quarter in Game 3, you're going, oh yeah, here they go. Indiana's running away with it. And now tonight, the Knicks an opportunity to even this back up. And wouldn't it just be something if we go back to New York and it's 2-2, not a single home team has won in this series?
If you had to select a big 3 for the Indiana Pacers, who would they be? We know Halliburton would be one, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think it would be Halliburton, Nesmith, and Pascal Siakam. That would probably be my big 3 for Indiana. Not in that order, though. It would be Halliburton 1, Pascal 2, and then Nesmith the 3rd.
Even now, if we had a vote in the city of Memphis, what big 3 you think would win in a vote of who's better? The Grizzlies' big 3 or the Pacers' big 3?
I'd probably say the Grizzlies. I think that would win the vote around town.
I think it would too. Maybe not as overwhelmingly as it would have on opening night.
Absolutely.
On opening
No
night, it would have won in the 99 percentile.
Landslide.
Then we do something really unusual in sports. We play the whole year out.
Yeah.
And we find out one's a medium-sized 3, and we find out one's 2 games away from the NBA Finals.
That's right.
Now, they do play in the East all year.
Sure. And that's big. I mean, I was reading something over the weekend.
But that ain't the Texas League.
No. I mean, I read something over the weekend about Giannis and how the Bucks, their big pitch to Giannis to keep him in Milwaukee is, look, we're playing in the East. It's going to be a lot easier to get back in contention for an NBA final in the Eastern Conference. But yes, this is still the NBA, and the Pacers are showing that they've got they're deep and they've got some dudes on their team that can definitely step in. But I think you're right. I think Memphis would still win the competition, but I really love some of these guys that the Pacers have. They're a fun team to watch.
I do think that the last 6 weeks of the Grizzlies' year did wake up, sober up a lot of people on exactly where it stood. And and flag the tape, I'm getting ready to say something nice about Zach Kleiman. When he says we're not close, you better listen to him.
That's huge. And now the question is, what do you do about it? Because, if you're saying we're not close, and then your moves in the offseason are very minuscule, and it's just, hey, we're going to get rid of this, 10th man on our roster and go bring in a guy that can be a 8th man, well, then, I don't know if you accomplished what you needed to accomplish in the offseason. If he goes out and makes some big swings, well, then, yeah, you said they're not close, and you showed that you need to improve this team. But
well, we might be in a community-wide day of mourning after we finally deal John Concher.
Exactly. That would be the type of, okay, what are we doing? That is not the move that's going to move the needle of this team.
Luke Kennard's love's not far behind the Conchar love
it's not far.
by Grizz fans.
I've been a little surprised with the Luke Kennard love because I'm to the point where I'm, okay, see you later, Luke.
Can't guard the water cooler.
And very spotty when it comes to his 3-point shot this year. I mean, we had that big run right before the trade deadline when it was like, I think we should trade Luke
the last
Kennard.
2 weeks, he was Mr. Late January.
He sure was. Right around when everyone started talking about who on this team do you trade, he got red hot. And then when deadline was over.
I think I jinxed him. One night I texted Rob at a game, and I'm going to insert a different word than from the text. I said Luke Kennard could sling it in a swinging jug right now.
Sure could. Yeah, at that time, he was electric. He was fantastic. And then trade deadline comes and goes, and I think he hit the door as well.
And Brian, you think we're going to have weeping and gnashing of teeth over the goodbye to John Conchar? Maybe even to Luke Kennard, that I love calling him Luke Kennard Mbaamute. Wait till we deal fan favorite Santi Aldama.
Oh yeah, well, and that's going to be one of the big questions this year is what do you do with Santi?
Mr. Upside himself.
Oh yeah, no, he certainly is. I would feel a little more if they got rid of him than I would the other two. Not a ton, but certainly more than those other two. But yeah, I mean we're about to hit that mark where it's decision time, and hopefully we see some moves with this Grizzlies front office.
We've deluded ourselves. We deluded ourselves with front office with Wexler and Kleiman. Kleiman, we're so far removed him being executive of the year. It's almost like that never happened. We deluded ourselves with our superstar. He's not. He's good, but as the face of the franchise of anything close to reliable, he's not. And our big three was medium size.
That's right. Yes, it was a medium three. That's a really good way to put it. I should put this out there. Shams Charania reporting within the last 15 minutes. Aaron Nesmith, who was questionable going into tonight's game, he is available to play in Game 4 tonight against the Knicks after sustaining a right ankle sprain in Game 3. So he'll be good to go, and we'll see what Indiana can do at home tonight.
And I hope people noticed that when I said we, that includes me.
Sure, yeah.
Because remember, I was Mr. Set Still at deadline.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And now we'll see what they can do this offseason.
That's why I included me and we.
Exactly. And yeah, things change. They certainly do.
But my opinion changed when the facts changed. And the facts are irrefutable. And the general manager says, not close.
Exactly.
I know what is close. 2026. It's already here at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. Not close, but here. Come out today to All-Star and drive one of the all-new 26 Equinox. What about a Silverado? Nobody with more new Silverados than at All-Star in Olive Branch. First exit on Highway 78 after you cross into Mississippi. Take Kraft Goodman Road, and you're there at All-Star Chevrolet where all the Chevys are. May is still your month to finance your new Silverado as low as 0.9. That's less than 1%. Your good credit deserves it, and you get the 0.9 at All-Star. If you're law enforcement, recent grad, educator, military, healthcare worker, first responder, an instant extra $500 bonus back. All-Star with every pre-owned truck and SUV you can imagine. If you don't see it on the lot, ask Jeff, ask Drew, ask any member of that team, and they will find it. And with their contacts, they'll find it fast. If you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star in Olive Branch and get the most money back for it today. Wherever this summer takes you, Drew DePriest and his team, everyone at All-Star in Olive Branch wish you and your family happy and safe travels down to the beach, wherever it is. Together, let's drive something from All-Star. For more information, go to allstarautogroup.com.
Well, we need to get to another break, and when we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. If you are a first-time guest or have dined with us countless times, I want to thank you for making us part of your lives. Whether you're celebrating with the crowd or planning a cozy date night on the town, Napa Cafe can provide you an extraordinary evening. We have 5 dining rooms, including our private wine cellar, our Jan's room for 2 guests, and the Eleanor room for parties up to 60. Sit back, relax, and celebrate. Leave the cooking to us. Come see me at Napa Cafe, 5101 Sanderlin Avenue. We're open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. We also offer curbside pickup from our full menu. For details on our stay-in, dine-out menu or reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us. We can't wait to serve you.
Congratulations to Napa Cafe, celebrating 27 years of great food and service for you. Napa Cafe.
Here she comes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
Small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Pools, and more pools. Yes, it is pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure is already booking pool installs, so you need to buy now and get on that list. 24-foot pools start at $19.99 install. Liners are starting at $2.99. You're going to need some pool accessories, so they're all up to 20% off. Not quite ready for a pool? That's fine. Get a 5 or 6 person hot tub starting at under $7,000. You can also go for a swim spa or perhaps a cold plunge tub. Those are now $2,000 off. Get patio furniture up to 50% off on select sets. Buy your pool now. Get on that install list. Mention this commercial, and your install is free. It's underlined in the in bold print, so you know it's big. It's pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together. Take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant objective feedback, hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. And now, introducing Shoot 360 Forever, a newly renovated 50,000 square foot facility with 2 NBA regulation-size courts, 3 high school-size courts, and 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology. Memberships are now on a monthly basis. And yes, you can become a member at both locations. Whether you're an aspiring young talent, NBA player, or looking for a unique workout, all skill levels are welcome at Shoot 360 Memphis to learn proper shooting and passing techniques, improve fundamentals, and gain a competitive edge while having fun. Shoot 360 Memphis now in Cordova and Collierville. Call them today at 901-779-3176. That's 901-779-3176. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis.
Extraordinary events from once in a lifetime. And right now, even the most extravagant luxuries are well within reach. The one and only May sale is back at Sissy's Log Cabin. And you can save up to 50% on nearly everything in the store. This is your chance to get the service, selection, and experience that makes you feel like family at the best prices of the year. Guaranteed. Don't miss the one and only May sale at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 360. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Service. Here are your hosts, Let's Talk Sports with Brian Davis.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brown. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, I've seen a lot of big numbers floating around about whether it's the Oklahoma City Thunder as a team, whether it's about SGA, whether it's about SGA and a teammate. A lot of numbers floating around after last night's game. I've seen a lot of numbers with the Knicks and their 20-point comebacks over the weekend. So a lot of options for big number today if you wanted to keep it in the NBA, and I'm going to do that because I found this big number today, and I just think it's a really fun big number. I'll go 3, the number 3. There have been 3 guards with 10 or more 30-point games and 11 or more team wins through their first 15 games played in a single postseason all time. There have only been 3. One was added last night. That was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who joined this group. The other two absolute legends, Michael Jordan, who did it in 1998, and Kobe Bryant, who did it twice, once in 2008 and the other in 2010. When you're in the same conversation as only 3 people, and those other 2 are Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, you are in a really good category of guys.
Do you think the free throw stuff will quieten down as the series and the years go by?
I think it will. I hope it does because I don't love it. Last night
he's got to win it all for it too.
Sure, and this could be the year certainly, but
because then that criticism, the easy answer is I got a world championship.
Yeah, I've got a ring. Look at my finger. But I mean, last night I saw some people after the game posting about how many free throws he attempted. Outside of before Minnesota just started fouling because they had to keep themselves in the game, he had attempted 8 free throws in that game. He finished with like 14 or 16. It got up there. But going into that, he had only attempted 8. So, some of it is late game fouling. He always has the ball in his hand. The other part is he's just really good at drawing fouls. So I hope it quiets down because it is getting to a point where it is a little annoying.
Who do you think the Pistol Britches was that came up with the term free throw merchant?
Oh, free throw merchant. It's everyone's favorite word now. I have no idea.
It's probably that same person that speaks after every 5th word and says, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, I don't know who did it, but it's terrible. I hate it.
My big number is 13. That's the number of NCAA baseball tournament bids that the SEC got, 13. 14 in basketball, 13 in baseball, 14 or 15, 14 in softball. Only 15 play SEC softball. But 13, and we'll see. The number of teams to win a bowl game, go to the Sweet 16, and get invited to the NCAA tournament. We'll cut that down to see who advances to Supers. We'll do that afterwards.
That'll be fun.
But we won't have to cut it very much because there's just 3 of those teams. Florida, they won the Gasparilla Bowl, and they won it all in basketball. Ole Miss won the Gator Bowl in football and advanced to the Sweet 16 in basketball. And Arkansas won the Liberty Bowl, advanced to the Sweet 16, and are the favorite in betting odds at 4-1 to win it all in baseball.
Yeah, it really is incredible the year that the SEC has had, and especially in basketball and baseball. But, I think under the radar, really good year for Arkansas. I think we mentioned that a couple weeks ago when talking about Arkansas. But obviously, you want to see improvement from the football team. But a bowl win's a bowl win. You got to be happy about that. Then to get to the Sweet 16 in basketball and baseball, we'll see. Still, I think incomplete grade for that because let's be honest. If they don't make it out of the regionals, then it's an absolute failure of a season.
And they haven't the last 2 years.
And yeah, it's been a struggle for them. But if they make noise, obviously betting favorite right now. If they can get that and win, which is still a big if, you got to go out there and do it. Then I think a really, really good athletic year for Arkansas.
Overwhelming favorite for someone that markets around Omaha. We'll see if that really snazzy marketing phrase can translate into finally winning. Because thus far in Omaha, all they really have differentiated and distinguished himself by is the biggest collapse against Oregon State with 3 people under a pop-up and getting beat twice by Ole Miss and bounced out of Omaha in the year that Ole Miss won it.
That's right. So this could be the year. Certainly, Vegas thinks
23 and 24.
The
they didn't. In 23, did they get out of regional and get beat by TCU and Super?
So. I believe so. Don't quote
and then last year bounced by SEMO. Got bounced a few years back by Missouri State in regional.
Yes, it's they got to go out there and do it. But I think you got to feel good being the betting favorite right now. But yeah, seeing yesterday the top 4 overall seeds all coming from the SEC. Vanderbilt, Texas, Arkansas, Auburn. Really impressive stuff for the SEC, and to get 8 regional hosts. It's going to be, and you know those places are going to be jumping over the weekend for these regionals. They're going to be really fun atmospheres.
They are, and a chance for SEC to meet a bunch in the next round, including Tennessee could be going to Fayetteville to play Arkansas, the defending champ.
Yeah, oh man, that would be. And we talked about that a couple weeks ago when those two teams met in just regular season conference play. It was getting a little chippy and some really good environments there. So
Vitello gets a lot of juices flowing.
Oh, he absolutely does. So that'd be fun, super regional.
I think the shade Dave Van Horn throws gets some going.
I think, that's a good point. I haven't really thought about it.
And I was this weekend old to learn, and you're right, win a bowl game, as we stated, won a bowl game, went to the Sweet 16 now, the heavy favorite to win it. But I was this weekend old to find out that 7-6 and winning the Liberty Bowl is really better than going 10-3 and winning the Gator Bowl on Arkansas baseball Twitter.
Well, those Twitter pages, Brett,
that's interesting, isn't it?
I'll use your word. They're snazzy. They're something. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that one. But if the Twitter page says it, then how could you argue Twitter? I mean, or X. I guess we should be calling it X, Brett. That's what the official title of it is now. And some people, they get really offended when you call it Twitter instead of X. But it's going to be fun this weekend with all of the regional games, with the tournament getting started. Well, let's wrap up this second hour, get to another break, and when we return, we're talking NFL with Bo Marchant.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places. Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland's Town Square. Fun, exciting, friendly, and comfortable. Wall-to-wall TVs, 24 taps for all your beers, including $3 domestic and $5 craft drinks on Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 happy hour. Music bingo Tuesdays, daily specials. Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland's Town Square. Enjoy Saturday chows and daily specials. Weekend music at the Owner's Box.
We are all about no-brainers. Calling Grandma for her recipe. No-brainer. Streaming one more episode at 2 a.m. Big no-brainer. Getting real unlimited data where you buy bananas. The ultimate no-brainer. Switch now and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2025 and select plans. Straight Talk. Real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. Offer valid 7/2025. Access and PC Water. Interactive Chelsea. Local limit plan. Item for dark management practices with Straight Talk. /terms. Copyright 2025 Verizon.
The perfect time to upgrade your carpet is right now. Get free carpet installation with the purchase of Home Decorators Collection Special Order Carpet. Give your floors a new, softer feel from timeless and trendy options with the performance to support everyday life. Refresh your carpet today with the Home Depot. Offered on May 15th through June 1st, 2025. Carpet installation with the purchase of Home Decorators Collection Special Order Carpet.
Tasty high note. Oh, hi, don't mind me. I'm practicing my new baritone sax. I just heard PayPal's paying for people's stuff every day for 100 days, and there's 10 million up for grabs. All you have to do is use PayPal checkout online. So there's never been a better time to buy a few things off the old wish list. Like this sleeve blower! PayPal can pay for your purchase. The Great PayPal Checkout. No purchase necessary ends July 18th. See official rules at paypal.com/thegreatpaypalcheckout/terms. Participating merchants only must use PayPal checkout online. Coverage of up to $100 and eligible purchases per cart.
This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Traffic in Midtown has picked up just a bit more in the last few minutes. I-40 at Chelsea trying to increase over here on 240 east from Mill Branch out to 385 Billmore Parkway as it gets heavier. I-40 across the bridge here, working your way over into West Memphis throughout Crittenden County. We've had to dodge a few rain showers out here in rush hour traffic. Give yourself extra time. Dandelions, crabgrass, not a problem for Lawn Solutions here in Memphis. These guys are absolutely the best. They do a great job and they're affordable. Call Lawn Solutions 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios. are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Biloxi. Once again, Brett Northworthy and Brian Davis.
You say you stand by your man.
We're back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios as we start our third and final hour. And we got to talk NFL. We do that every single Tuesday with Bo Marchant.
National Football League talk every Tuesday with Bo Marchant, covering the NFL Draft at collegetopro.com and the NFL Draft Bible, covering the Steelers for Sports Illustrated, living and running in Eastern Ohio, and on Twitter X at Bo Marchant. Here's Bo with Bryant and Brett.
Bo Marchant joins us now to talk the NFL. But, Bo, before we get to any NFL topics, we got to talk about Big 10,000 last week. We talked with you last Tuesday. We were a couple days away from it. But I saw on Facebook all the pictures, all the stuff for it. Tell us a little bit about Big 10,000 last week.
Yeah, well, thankfully, Big 10,000. We did it in Montreal, and I did the route that I wanted. I didn't get lost. I was thankful because I got lost the day before, and we ran on the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve F1 track at the Parc Jean Drapeau. I believe I'm saying that right, and it was fun. I guess the only downside was I was exhausted. A couple friends called to congratulate me, but I was back at my hotel, laying in bed. And he's like, "What are you doing? You're going to go out and celebrate?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "Get your butt out of bed and go celebrate." So I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to do that." We hung up the phone. I walked into the kitchen where I was staying. I grabbed some water, and I'm like, "I'm not going anywhere." And went laid back down in bed. So, but it was a great win. We raised nearly $10,000 for 2 charities, which was wonderful. So, and the community rallied around the whole idea of it. So it was really a blessing.
Way to go, Bo. 10,000 down. How many to go?
How many to go?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
How long do you want to extend? Do you have a goal?
No, I mean, put it this way. If it ends anytime soon, I'm going to be very sad. Just put it that way. I mean, I don't have a date in mind. There might be a point where that comes, but as of right now, absolutely not. I'm in full, go mode. Now the goal is 30 years because we're at 27 and a half. So
heck yeah.
Kind of the next big number is that 30-year number.
Well, that would get you to around 11,000. That's a good number.
Yeah, we're working, and Brett, the best thing is you got to take it day by day. There's not some magic bonus, pill or, little gem that you hit playing a video game where you get a bonus. It's, you don't get an extra month by doing something special.
Bo, a friend of mine, said to his dad that his motto for their business, and it's been open forever and has thrived and done very well, but his dad would say, "Our goal is just to be open tomorrow."
Yeah, and that's for me. That's the preservation. The goal is to do what you need to do, but make sure you can preserve for tomorrow. And I'm usually already thinking ahead most of the time on most of this stuff, anyways. So I'm trying to envision I'm in Pittsburgh tomorrow. I'll plan on waking up and running at Frick Park, and then heading to OTAs, and then starting another day.
Bo, it really speaks to you and your character and the accomplishment, how much the Steelers and your fellow media members that cover the Steelers, how much they have applauded you. That is true recognition.
Yeah, it was. It's special, kind of, especially when you're not, I guess you're not expecting it, but you're not looking for it, but it just comes at you naturally, and it's special. And I shared a lot of things with you about, a lot of things nice people have done. Chris Ballard the GM for the Colts sent me a John Taylor jersey, the auction off at the raffle. The Steelers had a Mike Tomlin ball. So, just those little things, it's just a nice gesture because they just could have said, hey, we're not going to go that route. But nonetheless, pretty cool stuff.
Really is. What did you learn today at OTAs?
I learned that I think DeMarvin Leal looks a lot bigger than he used to be. That's one thing I know. Cameron Johnston, the punter. He tore his calf last year, I believe it was his calf, and missed the season. But he looks like that leg is back to life, and he was booting some balls behind us on the second practice field. So, and really today's such a quiet day in terms of them getting acclimated, and it's more or less of a calisthenic walkthrough and just kind of warm-up exercise for the days that are to come. And, being up in Canada for their training camp and opening, it's kind of to parallel that to the, OTAs. It's, you love seeing it. You love being around the game. And then after a couple days with no pads or nothing, then you want something, then you want shoulder pads, you want helmets. And then once they have the shoulder pads and helmets on, now you want to see them practice against somebody else. So you get preseason. And then after a preseason game, you're like, no, I want the real action. So, your appetite is quickly, quenched, and you want more and more eventually leading us to the kickoff.
It feels like every year we play this game with guys aren't at OTAs. Is this a big deal? Is this not a big deal? But I do think in Atlanta, the situation with Kirk Cousins is interesting. I mean, Atlanta has made it known that they're kind of ready to move on from Kirk Cousins. Michael Penix Jr. Ends up being the starter at the end of the season last year. It feels like will be the starter this year. What do you think happens? Do we see some sort of movement involving Kirk Cousins before the season starts?
Yeah, I just think if there's another team that's going to be interested in acquiring Kirk Cousins, that's if there's a market for him, you immediately would think of a team like the Saints. Do they feel good enough with a second-round pick and Tyler Shug that that's the direction they're going to go? Or maybe the Saints wait and see. Maybe another team suffers an injury and they want to bring him up. So I think the biggest thing the thing in my mind is they just have to find a partner who wants to acquire, Kirk Cousins and what that compensation would be. And if it doesn't happen, I don't know if I can't imagine Cousins being a Falcon when the season starts. But for the Falcons, you're paying him big money, but you're really not paying Michael Penix nothing. So, it's not like they have two guys, under contracts for big money. So it's, I think, in that aspect, if you're not going to be a starter and he wants to be, it's not going to be in Atlanta. So, doomsday, I guess, situation for Kirk Cousins is, there's nobody who wants to acquire him. And then he's either, stick with the Falcons or I guess you kind of set off into the sunset.
Bo, over the weekend, long weekend, I was at a Pro Football Ref, and I was looking at the all-time passing yards leader lists and players that will be playing this year, assuming, and I think we can, Aaron Rodgers. He's at almost 63,000. If he had that 4,000 yard year, and he probably would and should, he would move to fifth. Then you go down to active player Matthew Stafford. He's around 60,000. Then to Russell Wilson at 46,000 and change. Joe Flacco at almost 46,000. And there he is, Kirk Cousins at 43,000 yards.
Yeah, that's amazing to think of a fourth-round pick. The same year they took Robert Grissom, the Washington team, and first-round pick, and they take him out of Michigan State in the fourth, and everybody's scratching their heads. But it was a good move for Washington, and it turned out to be a great career by Cousins. We know he's at the end of it, and I don't really think he's going to go anywhere where miraculously he's going to get a Super Bowl ring. Maybe he's like a Bernie Kosar with the Cowboys, maybe that type of Super Bowl ring. But him being an implement or a big factor into what the team's doing, I doubt that's going to happen unless he's a a gap guy between the start and missing time. If that was the case, I just don't think there's a Super Bowl caliber team where he's going to be under center as the proclaimed, number one quarterback. But but those numbers, Brett, when you brought that up, the immediately thing, I know growing up, Dan Fouts was the guy. You had Johnny Unitas before him. Fran Tarkenton had some big numbers, and then Danny Marino came, and it looked like his numbers would be untouchable. 48 touchdowns in his season, his 5,000 yards passing. Those were outlandish numbers because it was such a run-predominant league. Now we flip the script, and now these quarterbacks is, the people, a young kid just looks at this list and they see Dan Marino, 50-some thousand yards or whatever, 49,000 yards. They think, wow, this guy must have not been that good. No Super Bowl ring, one appearance in his second season, and lo and behold, the league has changed and the statistics change with that change.
Dan Marino ninth at around 61,000 with any kind of year, with any kind of first half opening day. Matthew Stafford will pass Dan Marino.
Wow. That's crazy. But again, it's just part of,
It's
the
the
league. And
times.
Stafford's been great. He's been great. And, think of the years in Detroit where, he had Megatron and those big passing days, and he goes off to Los Angeles and Cooper Kupp and then Puka. And it's he'll be a Hall of Famer and well deserving of it. One of those guys that, lives up to the hype to be the number one pick.
Why did the Brock Purdy contract irritate so many so much?
We talked about it, Brett. It's just that Mr. Irrelevant tag will haunt him unless he wins a Super Bowl. And I think it's a fabulous contract for both sides. I think at the end of the day, Brock Purdy could look around at other contracts by other quarterbacks, but to think that you're the last pick of the draft, I mean, if you're the last pick of the draft, you basically shouldn't be relevant in the NFL anymore at this point, at least, for this duration of time. And then imagine that you're signing this type of contract for this much guaranteed money to make $55 million a year. I think he has to be happy, and I think it's a fair contract for the 49ers too. So, I mean, that was one of the rare contracts where I think the players should have been happy, and I don't want to be disrespectful to the Brock Purdy camp, but I think it was a fair deal for the 49ers where they didn't have to overpay for him. And,
Hadn't he already in a team concept, not individually? I know he's way ahead of him in yards because of the number of years he's played, but he had a big contract that wasn't at all controversial. Now Brock Purdy's is, and you're right, it's the irrelevancy tag. But hadn't Brock Purdy in the team concept already accomplished more than Dak Prescott?
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
Can I say yes? I'll answer for you, go, yes.
But one's contract was well received, but the other one is not.
Yeah. But I think Dak took a lot of grief for his as well. Brian would probably be the first one to say, I didn't want Dak as the quarterback. I don't want to give him this big money. But I've said it time and time again, if you don't pay these guys, where else are you going to go to find somebody that's adequate to be an elite type quarterback? Listen, the Cowboys with Dak, until he wins one, I think the same thing with Brock Purdy. Until they have some playoffs, I shouldn't say playoff success. I think Brock Purdy has to win a Super Bowl because he's just always going to be compared to the seventh round guy. And for Dak, you got to have success in the playoffs for a couple, I think, years of,
How about once?
Maybe, like NFC Championship, and then go back and look maybe lose a heartbreaker, where you played the best game of your life and it wasn't your fault. I think, you kind of can mask some of the ugly with the last memories you leave on the field. But right now, Brock Purdy, McCaffrey went down and Brandon Ayuk's not there. And, but those are key pieces. I don't know what other quarterback would do very well without those two guys. But, people are going to look at that saying, well, he didn't have his best season. The 49ers weren't their best. But again, if you look at the team as a whole, they were missing a lot. And the same with Dak. You had Ricky Dowdle, which I love. It's not a slam on Rico, and he's now in Carolina. But I just think that team within itself, the Cowboys, they did nothing last offseason, and Dak didn't have enough, weapons. And the line was growing together. Micah Parsons missed basically, half the season with the ankle. So, but you look at it, you're the quarterback, you're going to get all the praise when you win, and you're obviously going to take the grief when things don't go the right way.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. We got the news last week that the tush push will live on for another year. Did not get enough votes, I believe too shy, to ban the tush push. This feels like it's going to be an every year thing of let's bring this back to the table and see how many votes we get to ban it. What did you make of it not getting banned, and do you think this will be something that every year until it's banned we'll be having this conversation?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a conversation we'll have until it is. Well, maybe if it's not actually banned, but I think it's definitely a conversation that we'll discuss in the coming seasons. If I'm Nick Sirianni and Harry Roseman of the Eagles, I'm running that play every down. From first down to fourth down, I'm running that play just to aggravate everybody, just to say, hey, me, I just don't find they do it well. and I watch as much football as anybody. I see guys get hurt on every play. I don't really recall guys walking off the field or getting carted off the field after the tush push. I see a lot of other plays where that happens. So I don't give credence to the health part of it. Plus, they want these guys to play 18 games. So again, it's a false narrative to think that the league is looking out for the best interest of the players when you want them to add, another regular season game to the schedule. I mean, if anything, you'd want to deduct that. So, you know me, I'm all for the tush push. I have no problems with it. I'm glad it survived. And it's like anything. If you stop it. You have 11 men on the other side. You have a coach. Try to defend it. And if you can't, well, hey, that's you just better hope they don't run it on you.
Back to the drawing board. You better learn how to stop it. I've only seen two teams really be effective with it. Philadelphia most prominently, and Kansas City. But Buffalo's pretty good. Buffalo's pretty good at it. Probably should be better at it. Does it start, because Jalen Hurts is not near the size of Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes sure isn't. Does it start with the quarterback and not necessarily just his size, but then we go to something at the combine that is big to them, hand size, because you got to get that snap first.
Yeah, you got to get the snap. And remember, Mark Andrews was doing the tush push for the Ravens in the playoffs, and there might have been other instances of other teams using different players. But, I think it's a play where it's universal in terms, you could, Jalen Hurts, we know he squats these, incredible amounts of weight, and, his lower body is incredibly strong, and that helps with it. You're not going to have Dylan Gabriel from, Cleveland run the same play. It's not going to have the same effect. But, I think if you find that tight end, a big running back, a fullback, that type of body, I don't know why any team can't try to perfect it or at least get close to doing that. And, it's a fun thing to talk about because I think it's almost comical that, there's other teams, real professionals, coaches and GMs and players who are dissatisfied and disgruntled with the idea that this play exists in the National Football League. I don't know if there was ever a play, at least, Brett, you're the historian. I mean, have you ever recalled a play or some similar circumstance where, there was NFL personnel, people involved in the league that were not satisfied with the way this played just because one team had so much success with it?
Well, not in the NFL, but in football, the sport, and it was a million years ago, quite literally after the turn of the 19th into the 20th century, when President Teddy Roosevelt had the poobahs of college football come to the White House, and they outlawed the flying wedge because people were getting killed.
Well, that's a legit thing. People actually, getting cremated after the game, literally.
Right. There hasn't been a busted kneecap because of the tush push yet.
Yeah, I find it funny.
Now,
I'm glad
here's
it
one
wasn't
from another
banned.
sport.
I was nervous.
Baseball and got rid of the shift, which I thought screamed soft and very weak.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's two of them.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. Yeah. That your example feels like it should have gotten a lot more attention than the tush push got. That feels like a real issue maybe that was facing the NFL. I'm curious. I was reading something over the weekend, Bo, talking about some of the teams that had high draft picks and which of those teams could make the jump back into playoff contention. And the one that was talked about a lot was the Patriots, with obviously a new head coach in there, with Mike Vrabel adding some pieces, Stephon Diggs in there, year 2 of a young quarterback. What have you made of the offseason for the Patriots, and can they make that jump to the postseason this upcoming year?
Well, I think there's definitely a positive vibe. I mean, Vrabel seems to have that team in a different mindset than, so I think that's a good step right off there. You just, the Will Campbell connection, the Vrabel, and I like Drake May coming out. And then, Kyle Williams, I think that was their 3rd-round pick. A very quiet receiver, but I think he's going to surprise a lot of people, so I'm excited about him. And then I think the running game, adding Henderson, that he's a playmaker, and then you got Ramondre Stevenson, the big, thick, bowling ball type downhill runner. There's a lot to be excited about. They invested a lot of money in free agency on the defensive side. I mean, go back and look at the free agent additions that they added. once that started. So they did a lot of work, and it might not be a lot of high-priced big names. We know Will Campbell was their first pick in the first round, but even an offensive lineman doesn't garner, Cam Ward or Ashton Genty or Luther Burden or Kyle Pitts, one of these high-drafted, skill guys. But when you get an offensive lineman, and if he pans out, Drake May continues to develop. And remember, what is it? One team, it seems like every year that is last in their division somehow finishes first. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine the Patriots leapfrogging the Bills, but then again, I didn't think the Bills would rebound the way that they did last year and kind of dominate that division. I thought, the Jets would be a factor. I thought Miami would be a real factor, and then I didn't think much about New England. So, maybe this is the year. It happens every season. You can't do it now because you just can't say, how's this fourth-place team going to finish first? But we see it time and time again in the National Football League. And the schedule helps. You're you're a top team. You play the top-tier talent. You're a bottom dweller. You play the bottom dweller teams. And if you have success, you find yourself in a nice position maybe to get a playoff sniff.
Yeah, well, we will definitely learn more as a lot of guys out there on the field. We're actually seeing throws being made, and OTAs have begun. It is a ton of fun. Bo, enjoy the rest of the week up at Steelers OTA, and we'll talk to you again next Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Stay safe, gentlemen. Much love.
Thanks, Bo. Bo Marchant joining us every single week to talk the NFL, and certainly a lot going on in the NFL now, and it's everyone's favorite game of, this guy didn't show up to OTAs. What does it mean? What's happening? Sky's falling for all of these, and most of the time it really doesn't mean much. Usually all of that gets taken care of.
Check with me August 25th.
Exactly, yeah. But it's my favorite thing because that's the only thing I feel like I'm seeing today is all of these headlines of X player wasn't at OTAs today. This player sat out. This player's not reporting. It's like, okay, it's May 27th. Let's get a little closer to the season, and then we can talk about if this is an issue or not. Well, always love talking NFL with Bo Marchant to start our third hour on Tuesdays, but also love our third hour sponsor, Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. They've been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984, and their talented team is ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender, available in multiple models to fit your needs. The Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Go online to jaguarbluffcity.com, but head out there and test drive these vehicles. 6335 Wheel Cove, just off of Quince, for Bluff City Jaguar. Well, let's go ahead and get to another break, and when we return, we'll talk about what's trending.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Sometimes I wish I had a gun.
Well, I'm armed, but before I bought one, I still went to Top Gun Academy to learn to protect myself without a gun.
How is that possible?
Top Gun's personal protection training. It's perfect if you want to protect yourself without firearms.
I don't know.
And it's perfect if you feel the need to carry a gun for self-defense, because the last thing you really want to do is shoot.
That is scary.
Not at Top Gun. It's very comfortable, and you learn to load, handle, and shoot a handgun safely. Protect yourself. Go to Top Gun Academy. They're at 2770 Winton Road.
The perfect time to upgrade your carpet is right now. Get free carpet installation with the purchase of Home Decorators Collection Special Order Carpet. Give your floors a new, softer feel from timeless and trendy options with the performance to support everyday life. Refresh your carpet today 20-foot pools start at $19.99 install. Liners are starting at $2.99. You're going to need some pool accessories, so they're all up to 20% off. Not quite ready for a pool? That's fine. Get a 5 or 6 person hot tub starting at under $7,000. You can also go for a swim spa or perhaps a cold plunge tub. Those are now $2,000 off. Get patio furniture up to 50% off on select sets. Buy your pool now. Get on that install list. Mention this commercial, and your install is free. It's underlined in the in-bold print, so you know it's big. It's pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure. Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
When you're working outdoors, unpredictability is the norm. So take on the toughest jobs with a 2025 Honda Pioneer Summit. This rugged side-by-side is powered to any party with reliable torque towing and smooth shifting through trails. And you can choose between 3 trims, standard, deluxe, and the Trim Timber Force Edition. Ultimate Airwood's Adventures. See the 2025 Honda Pioneer Summit under today at Casino Honda, 5657 Mill Road,
Elwood Shack in the Lowe's parking lot on Summer just keeps getting bigger and better. Bigger because now there's a second Elwood Shack at 4040 Park across from the University of Memphis. And better because you can get breakfast every day at both Elwoods. There's the barbecue breakfast burrito, either beef brisket or pork shoulder, and pancake biscuits made fresh daily. Real house-made pancakes, apple and bacon, French toast, and more. And the new Elwoods even has a real coffee bar serving fresh roasted J. Brooks coffee. Elwood Shack, now in 2 locations and open every day for you. This traffic brought to you by Raleigh Tire Auto Service, your local family-owned business for over 60 years.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. MPD still out here working with a couple of accidents. Midtown traffic's trying to pick up just a little bit more on 240 South at South Parkway. One of the biggest slowdowns out here in the last hour has been that roadwork slowing down rush hour traffic on 40 eastbound at Covington Pike. Again, we're checking it out live again. It's still limping along over here on this side of town. Hey, Dandelions, Crabgrass, Lawn Solutions here in Memphis says not a problem. Call Lawn Solutions at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios as we got about 30 minutes left in today's show. And really, ever since before the show started, Brett has been teasing blind resumes that he has. I don't think you've teased it on air, but you have blind resumes. I tried to get information out of you of like, what is this, basketball? Is it football? What kind of blind resumes is this? You would not even give me a hint about what they are. So I'm excited to hear what these blind resumes that you have are.
Brian, in 33 some odd years, very rarely do we have a first.
Okay.
I think the first blind resume ever for college baseball.
Okay.
Have we ever had one?
You know
Can
what?
you think of one?
You know, Brett, out of the 30-some-odd years, I have only been here for a very small percentage of it, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say no. This will be the first time we have ever done blind college baseball resumes.
Brian, I swear, it feels like you've been here for the whole 30 years I've been here, and you're not even 30.
I was about to say, sometimes it does feel like I've been here for my entire existence on this planet, but no, it has not been that long. But I will...
You sure you hadn't been at WHBQ for over 20 years?
Instead of going to kindergarten, my parents just put me here, and they're like, you'll learn everything you need to learn here. Yes, I've been here my entire existence.
All right, here we go. There's Team A and there's Team B. Team A has been a College World Series runner-up 3 times. Team B has been the College World Series runner-up twice. Team A has made 24 College World Series appearances. Team B has made 11 College World Series appearances. Team A has been regional champs 29 times. Team B has been regional champs 14 times. Team A has made a whopping 61 NCAA tournament appearances. Team B has made a whopping 36 NCAA tournament appearances. Dog piles in Omaha for Team A and for Team B, both 0.
Holy cow.
Would you have any idea who I'm talking about?
I'm going to, one of them's Arkansas, I think.
Team B is Arkansas.
Okay, all right. Who is Team A?
The annual reminder that they have never won a national championship. I have to go check every year. Is that right? Is that true? Florida State.
Really?
And they host this year.
Wow, that's
and
right.
Arkansas hosts.
Yeah.
But Arkansas is the favorite. And Arkansas very much have been a little bit of the Rory McIlroy tortured about Omaha. Is that fair to say?
I would say yes, but I mean, I say they bring it upon themselves a little more than Rory did in terms of his Masters torture. I mean, Omahogs is Omahogs. I mean, you know, when you have that type of hashtag or whatever you want to call it, that saying, you know, I feel like you got to win it to have Omahogs.
Short of winning it all, even though I know it flows well, Omanoles doesn't flow, does it?
No. It's perfect for Arkansas. I mean, it is great.
It is perfect.
It makes so much sense. It flows
And you know one of
well.
those weasel pinheads in marketing didn't think of it.
No.
It came from fans.
Definitely.
It's all great ideas.
Oh, yeah.
Like Rob Fisher gave us Grit and Grind and gave us Hoop City.
Yeah, oh, yeah. But, I mean, like,
left you the Grizzlies, they gave us Donkey Land Ranch and Round Town.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, some of the things that I've seen on some of these rally towels for some of these growl towels for the Grizzlies that you can tell. Some you can tell that came from somewhere outside of the building. That came inside the building.
The best marketing ideas are born organically, usually by fans or clever media.
Yeah, and then I don't want to make it sound like I have anything against Arkansas or the Omahogs. I think Omahogs is genius. I love it. I think it's great. But like when you say that and when you do that, I think people expect, okay, well you better go and you've won it before. You've gone and
right,
you've
that
gone
you've
and done
done
it. And
shy of winning it. Shouldn't that be retired?
I think
winning, you pour the coals
sure,
to it.
Yeah, no, go crazy. But yeah, I think maybe short of winning it, I think you probably shouldn't be using it. But that is hard to believe that.
But Florida State, much more tortuous.
Oh yeah, I mean that just everything you listed was just been there, done that, except for all of it. You know, they've just not done the winning the whole thing aspect of it. But they've been around forever. I mean, that's a powerhouse right there.
Kind of the next topic, and we've talked a lot about it, and we talked about, I think with Brent Beard, we talked about the expense side of it. And everybody we all know everything is so much more expensive than it used to be. And not just by a little bit, by leaps and bounds. Yeah. We all know that. Hopefully that will subside. I don't know how it will, because once anything is sold at X price, why would you go down when you know the market will pay that?
Always going to go up. Yeah, never going to go down. From a economical sense, that doesn't make any sense.
Simple supply and demand.
Exactly. I mean, that's the first lesson in any econ class, I think.
And one of the bigger things that has gone up just unbelievably, because they can, and as long as they can, they will continue to, is hotel and travel cost. Sure. So when we go to a 16-team college football playoff, it's going to be really hard for fans to commit. And I feel it. I understand. I know what it costs. I know, and I'm not paying for it, but I know what is being expensed every single weekend just to get that 2-night minimum in these little old bitty SEC towns. What it costs. Well, I know when you start going to Orlando and Houston and San Antonio and Jacksonville and Tampa and Las Vegas, and especially at that time of year, or really any time of the year, I know that's going to be outrageous, but here's what I fear. I'm afraid that when fans start looking, especially a fan of somebody like Georgia, that's going to be good year in and year out for as long as Kirby Smart is coaching there, I'm afraid those fans will cherry pick and maybe cut back instead of buying those 4 season tickets at Sanford Stadium, let's just cut that back to 2, and instead of going to 6 out of 7 home games, let's just go to 4. I think it's going to hurt the regular season more than it will the postseason at some places.
That's a good point, because I think we're already seeing a little bit of that with the expanded playoffs. I mean, I remember, come playoff time last year, there were a lot of people talking about, man, are these people going to travel to the early round games when you're the number 1 overall seed? Or are you just going to try to say, well, I think our team's going to get to the national championship. Let's hold off and try to go there. And so, yeah, I think you're right. If you're a team like Georgia or Ohio State or, one of those teams that it feels like it's a shoo-in, you're going to be in the college football playoffs, why would you go to, an early regular season non-conference game against somebody when you could save that money, maybe miss out on a SEC game here, an SEC game there, save that money, and then go to a playoff game? I think you're right. I mean, there are going to be people that will look at that and say, I would way rather go to Fiesta Bowl or whatever, bowl game as a part of the playoffs rather than going to just a regular season game.
In a 16-team playoff, we're going to need 8 games that first weekend. I want to incorporate the bowls. Sure. I know I thought I was going to like campus more than I did last year, and it wasn't just because my team wasn't in it. I thought that was going to feel better than it really did. I would like to see these bowls incorporated in it, and maybe even rotate a lot of these bowl games so a lot of different bowls can get in on the action. Then the next round will be when we cut down to 8. Well, you're going to need 4 bowls. Then you're going to cut down to 4 teams. You're going to need 2 bowl games for that. I want the finals permanently at the Rose Bowl, not in one of these bid-on sites like the Final Four that might be Indianapolis or might be the new dome in Cleveland or the new dome in Nashville. I do think the new dome in Nashville will get the Music City Bowl involved in a lot of these games, especially if it expands out.
That's a great point.
But I'd love to see first weekend, 16 teams, 8 bowl games. I want to see this. I want, a Thursday afternoon game, a Thursday night game, a Friday afternoon game, a Friday night game, and then 4 on Saturday. 11, 2, 5:30, 8:30. Of course, try to arrange 8:30 more for a West Coast site. I think the Kroenke's new stadium will get the LA Bowl in that mix just because of that stadium.
Definitely.
It probably should. It has no history as a bowl game. I think it's been under about 5 different names, including
every year.
Jimmy Kimmel.
That's right.
But they're going to get in it because of the stadium. Yes, I think you should accommodate up there, like at the Detroit Bowl or whatever name it is.
Sure.
It ought to be called the Ford Field Bowl because it's a great place to play. Only time I've ever been in it was for D'Angelo Williams' last game as a Tiger when Memphis beat Akron. I would like to see Citrus and Alamo and the Sunshine places, and then we get into the quarterfinals and the semis, and then the Rose Bowl for the finals. We know what bowls will be involved in that.
Oh, for sure. But I'm with you. I think I would rotate some of those outsider ones, some of the first round ones. But when you get especially to the national championship, I think it would be cool to have one just set site always. And whether it's the Rose Bowl, whatever it is, that is where we're going for the national championship.
Las Vegas is going to get involved.
Of course.
And their bowl history is thinner than this piece of paper I'm writing on today.
That's right. But you're right.
But it's Vegas.
With those places, those cities, and those type of stadiums, they're going to be able to command those type of bowl games and being involved in that. You're absolutely right. And I love your take on Nashville. I hope that with this new dome that they can really kind of take over and get a part of that and be a part of the playoffs.
And we have afternoon bowl games on Thursday and Friday afternoon. Now, it's mostly programming, but you want some real heft in your programming?
Yeah.
Have it be an elimination game in the college football playoff tournament.
That's the thing. I mean, you're already seeing people tune in to insert this random bowl that's on a Thursday afternoon. Everyone is going to be locked in if you have that being a playoff game on a Thursday afternoon.
And then, working. I don't know that the Rose Bowl, I don't know that they would play it off of January 1st. Maybe if they could be assured that every single year that was the finals. But I don't know that the stadium and kind of the meat and potatoes of that stadium can really get carved out that spot anymore, as much as I love the tradition of it.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, they've been kind of, we want to be set in stone, and so, who knows what they will do in terms of trying to be flexible with the playoffs.
But we'll see. Earlier today, I want to make an announcement. Earlier today, a great Memphian, a great sportsman, our friend Reggie Barnes, he passed away this morning, and he had been battling through the years idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. If that sounds familiar, well, the late, great George Lapidus, he passed away from that. And I found it ironic today that as good of friends as George and Reggie that they were through a long, long time. And Reggie, even in that studio on George's very last day, Brian.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That's how close they were.
Wow. That's incredible.
And he with several other close confidants of George, were there that day. And we're all going to miss Reggie Barnes. When you look up the definition of sportsman, rockin' tour, deal maker, fun, friend, get things accomplished for Memphis, he did it often at his own expense. He did not even tell me this. The late, great Arnold Pearl told me this. And Reggie naturally deflected it and said, don't make too big a deal of it, Brett. But he did. It was getting down to crunch time to get the Grizzlies. And it was about to come undone. And Mike Heisley and Stan Meadows were coming into Memphis on a Monday night, and Reggie hastily arranged at his own cost. Nobody ever paid him back for it. He didn't care. He wanted to get the Grizzlies. He wanted Memphis, his beloved Memphis, where he grew up, went to high school, worked, retired, raised a family, had a lot of friends. He wanted Memphis to be in the major leagues. And he put together a dinner on a Monday night quickly for 12 people. And I'm not going to name everybody that was there, but it's the 12 biggest hitters in town. And it included some elected officials. It included Arnold Pearl. It included Mayor Harrington. It included other people. And without that, it was about to come undone, and that pushed it across the finish line. And I don't know that he ever saw it, or I know he didn't seek it, but if he ever got the credit for it. The two SEC tournaments that we've hosted in Memphis, 94 and 97 at the Pyramid, he single-handedly got those with his friendship with Roy Kramer and Mark Womack and other SEC honchos. College football games, Arkansas and Ole Miss and Tennessee, that were going to be on campus, he got played here. He loved two things. He loved a lot of things in sports, but his two teams were his alma mater, the Ole Miss Rebels, and the Memphis Tigers, football and basketball. He loved Tiger football. He loved Tiger basketball. And every year in August, and I know Tommy West always appreciated, all of them did, every head coach did, he would put together at his cost a get-together for all of them at a really nice place around town at his cost for them to have some time before they got into the grind of the year. He was active in the Touchdown Club forever. You can go back at the Commercial Appeal photo archives and see a great photo of him with the late Tim Treadwell and Coach Woody Hayes at an event at the Touchdown Club years and years ago. And he was Liberty Bowl president in 1987. That was the Arkansas-Georgia game. And that was the first year that I got to know him and become friends with him. I just gotten home from college and asked a friend of mine, I said, hey, I want to get involved in the Liberty Bowl. He said, I got a friend of mine that's president of the Liberty Bowl this year. And he called him up, got him on the phone, invited me, got me to the event. And through the years, we became close friends like so many really were with Reggie Barnes. I mentioned his Ole Miss ties, and he just so much loved the Archie Manning and Olivia Manning and their family. And I don't think I am revealing anything that I shouldn't, but today in a text with Cooper Manning, he said, no family loved Reggie Barnes more than mine and our family. So that says a whole lot about him. He gave me wise counsel through the years. He will be very missed. Arrangements have not been firmed up yet. They will be in the days ahead. But our best to his family, and a guy that really got a lot of things done, including his work through the years with the golf tournament. He loved it. Was just at a golf tournament board meeting a few weeks ago. in his battle with a really, really terrible disease that not a lot of people know about it. I'd never heard about it till George told me about IPF, and in George's inimitable style, he said, "I can assure you it does not stand for indoor practice facility. It stands for idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis." And it took two greats that both loved each other.
Yeah, well, very sad news, and definitely praying for his family, but very evident the impact he made in this city. Well, we need to wrap up today's show. When we return, we'll wrap up today's edition of Sports Time with Crunch Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
I think a lot about golf, and when I think golf, I think Miramichi. Did you know Miramichi Golf Course offers membership? It's a great way to play more golf for less out of pocket. Their memberships run for $300 a month plus tax, and that includes unlimited rounds and range balls, no extra card fees, priority tee time booking, and discounts in the pro shop. Oh, by the way, there's no initiation fee. Miramichi green fees, they'll allow you to choose the right rate at the right time on the right day for your needs. If morning tee times are more important, you can book up to 14 days ahead of time to reserve your spot. If rate is more important to you, there are discounted evening rates available that you can choose from. Miramichi is now open on Mondays, and you'll find the lowest rate is on Thursday. Sometimes you just need to escape the hustle and bustle of life. Miramichi Golf Course provides just the right place to solve that need. The name Miramichi means place of happy retreat. When you need a quiet, peaceful round of golf, please make your way to Miramichi.
Barbecue season is back. Hey, it's Owen and Mrs. Sarah Beth. And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is that zesty barbecue sauce. I love that it was a little sweet, a little tangy, and with the mac and cheese.
I feel like I tasted the brown sugar bacon first. It was the absolute best combination. Pro tip, 3 sandwiches are always better than 1.
Order the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich and a Coca-Cola on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Mid-South, it's the right time to buy, and the right place is Gossett Hyundai on the Pike. And we're ready to beat the competition on your new ride, so hurry! Get to Gossett Hyundai on the Pike for 2024 Hyundai Tucson Hybrid Limited All-Wheel Drive. Only $36,921. How about 2024 Hyundai Santa Cruz XRT All-Wheel Drive? We Gossett $37,180. And beautiful 2024 Hyundai Palisade Limited Front-Wheel Drive $44,277. There's only one left at this price, so you've got to hurry. Plus, every Gossett Hyundai comes with America's best 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So get to Gossett Hyundai today, 1870 Covington Pike, or online anytime at HyundaiGossett.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
23 MSRP 41,870, Palisade RU 798,741, MSRP 50,184, Santa Cruz RH 126,339, MSRP 42,180, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit, dealer stock only.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 904-611-01. That's 904-611-01. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses in the area as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone, call 904-611-01. It's 904-611-01. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill 904-611-01. Bill and I buy houses.
Extraordinary events from once in a blue moon. And right now, even the most extravagant luxuries are well within reach. The one and only May sale is back at Sissy's Log Cabin, and you can save up to 50% on nearly everything in the store. This is your chance to get the service, selection, and experience that makes you feel like family at the best prices of the year. Guaranteed. Don't miss the one and only May sale at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so
spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is we got some breaking news within the last hour. Memphis basketball has added another player from the transfer portal. South Dakota State transfer forward William Wharton has committed to the University of Memphis. He is the Tigers' 11th transfer portal pickup of the offseason and 13th newcomer overall heading into the new season. That comes from a tweet from Parthu Pajai on Twitter. William Wharton, a guy that did not play a ton as a true freshman last year for South Dakota State, averaged 3 points, 2.9 rebounds. The most minutes he got in a game was in a game against a non-Division I team where he played 21 minutes. Outside of that, did have 21 against Montana in December, but a guy that didn't play a lot, very young, very raw, but a guy that Penny Hardaway thinks he can get in here and maybe develop and turn into a really good player. 6'8", 220, so good frame, good size, and another pickup for Penny Hardaway.
Brian, I learned over the course of the long weekend, I watched a lot of big league baseball, and I think right now there are about 20 to 22, maybe 23 pretty good baseball teams. Atlanta, for instance, they haven't had that good 12 wins out of 15 game stretch yet. I think they will, though. It feels like it's coming. Minnesota may be in the middle of that. St. Louis maybe had that stretch. There's only going to be 12 playoffs, 6 spots in each league. There are a lot of good teams out there.
There are, and good baseball being played as well. What I could have done without, but it might have been Dylan Carlson's performance yesterday afternoon. How about Charlie Morton's performance yesterday afternoon? Two guys that have not been playing great.
Charlie Morton entered with a 7.48 ERA.
Charlie Morton had been so bad that they moved him to the bullpen. He wasn't even starting, and then comes out and throws a great game against the Cardinals. But honestly, if you look back at the weekend, Brett, we were texting about it over the weekend. Really good weekend for the Cardinals against the Diamondbacks. We didn't have much time with all the news we had to get to today to talk much baseball, but good baseball sweep over the Diamondbacks, and it looked like better crowds in St. Louis during Memorial Day weekend. So good weekend, but yesterday I could have done without that. A bad Baltimore team, and they really handed it to the Cardinals. But right now, Cardinals up 1-0 early in Game 2.
The Dodgers in St. Louis this coming weekend.
Oh, man.
So you know it'd be big crowds.
Yeah.
It could have done without that annual reminder that FSU's never won it all in baseball. Hard to believe.
Very hard to believe. I mean, just the powerhouse that they are in baseball, and the
Home
fact
and Knowles.
that. Well, let's
get it going.
Let's get it going. Let's start that. It doesn't have the same ring as Omaha Hogs, but I think we can figure it out. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beat me to Destin. I'm with Brent Beard. I'd like to be the fly on the wall there. I want 16 at larges. I want the first weekend, a game on Thursday like I talked about, incorporate more bowl games. I hope the SEC will be daring because the criticism is going to be heavy no matter what they do. So don't worry about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't worry about the criticism. Just do your thing. And, Brett, make sure you carry the sunscreen with you when you head down there to Dallas.
I got to carry sunscreen with me just talking about it.
Yeah. I hate that for you. Beam me to Game 4 tonight in Indianapolis. Pacers and Knicks. All three games have been great. We'll see if Game 4 lives up to the same hype.
Pacers couldn't close them out or they'd be up 3-0. They got to tonight to get up 3-1. Cardinals and the Orioles at Camden Yards. Also tonight, a rematch of the 1920 World Series. Yeah, Brooklyn Dodgers against the Cleveland Indians. Tris Speaker, player manager. The last two times the Indians won it, 48-20, had player managers both times.
It's incredible. That's a great nugget. Love a good player manager. But that's all the time we have. A lot of good stuff to keep an eye on tonight. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgess. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous? Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line.